Hello, hello, hello. Check, check, check. That is a little off. Hello. That's track 1, this is track 3. Oh, can you hear me? Oh my god. This is so fucked up actually. Every single time it changes my settings and I'm looking for it, you know. Okay, okay, once again, first one to give me a chat. Kai Rosenkrantz, if you're still with us, we give you the thumbs up. And in 3 weeks we will be playing the game. Oh my god. And also welcome to all the other people that have joined us. I'm seeing, well, give me a second. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. Ah, there we go. Yeah, here we are. Demonio, Cyrus, Landros, Humble Hornet. Somebody called Zocker. Jesus Christ. Hello. Zocker. Yeah. Welcome everybody. So, yeah. So this thumbnail is a quick little story. Sometimes I use the good old AI to help me with the thumbnails, because if there is something that I dislike, it's making thumbnails. And I posted a very regular kind of picture of me, and it did this on its own, which is crazy. Hello, everybody. Okay, so there is new gameplay. I was asleep for some time, and I just opened up. Hello, there we go. You should be able to hear me once again. This is so fucked up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Houston, we got a problem. Vertigo's mute again. But now it should be fine, right? Now we good? Now we good? Oh yeah, I'm back again. Okay, okay. So, as I was saying, we've got some new gameplay, and there is a bunch of people who apparently played this, and they are talking about it, and we want to get into that. And I'm a little bit, you know, I mean, I was gone for a bit, but Jesus Christ, so many things have happened, and that's cool. So we got MrMattyPlays. We've got the GameStar, which is a German magazine, and they run for 20 minutes around the colony. Then there is Mortismal Gaming, and then there is, of course, Hand of Blood. And I am not sure how we're going to play, how we're going to watch all of this. what I'm going to do is I think we start with a German GameStar review or their experience. And I hope there is some subtitles. Give me that. Okay, Landros, is the hype getting to you a bit? I'm going to be very honest. I'm cautiously hyped. Cautiously hyped. So it's German, right? Dude! I want it in English. Is this possible? Subtitles. Auto-translate. No. No. This is so sad. I mean, we can watch this, you know, and how everything looks and stuff like that. That will be no problem. Two more. Yeah, okay. So I think Mortismal Gaming is also 20 minutes. Let me check this. Okay. So I think we're going to watch this then. We're going to react a little bit. That's a great channel. Oh, bro, I haven't subscribed yet. Now I am. Mr. Matty, he's talking about it. And we are starting off with Mortismal Gaming. And this is actually, I want to say this is like the same footage, but I'm not sure about it. But yeah, let's try it. Let me know if this is too loud or not.
What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some thoughts as well as just general information about Gothic Remake after I got to play the game for quite a bit of time, actually. And so, of course, we've got a lot to go over here. But first and foremost, I am able to bring you this video because several weeks back, at like the beginning of April, actually, THQ Nordic via a PR company reached out, asked if I wanted to take a look at it. At the same time, they did that initial like preview for some of the expanded content they did, which I also made a video on. That, however, was hands-off. This was a hands-on experience. I have played a good chunk of the beginning of the game for myself, and so obviously I want to set some qualifiers for everything I had access to. So essentially what this was a specific build they made available to a handful of people that basically gave you access to roughly the first 5 or so hours of the game. In particular, the game's open world was sort of fenced off with an invisible wall covering both the...
So, I gotta stop here right now. So, right now we've got like, I don't know, 4 versions of a demo type game, and I'm a little bit off. I played the first one at Gamescom, then the second one at the other Gamescom the following year, and then there was some, again, like streamers and YouTuber shenanigans going on. And yeah, this is like the latest build, and I gotta say, 5 hours, bruh. That's quite long, actually.
The introductory area, old camp and its immediate surroundings, as well as some of the paths up to the old mine where you would do some of the initial quests. Now, if you've never played Gothic and none of that made any sense to you, this is probably also a good place to mention that this video has to both address people who have played and are familiar with Gothic and also people who are looking at this for the very first time, so keep in mind this might be a little bit all over the place. I do apologize for that. However, I have in fact played the original Gothic. It was a game I enjoyed quite a bit, even though I got to it very late in comparison to its initial release back in like 2001. But I have a few notes, as you would imagine. So let's start with the broad strokes. Main thing I want to get across here is that this definitely feels like Gothic, and you notice that straight away. And I think they did a really good job in including some of like the core components of that, while also obviously changing things via the remake, which we'll get into a little bit. But things like really feeling that progression of initially being thrown into the colony, knowing nothing, and then getting your first bits of progression via like learning how to use a weapon properly, and then your first couple of levels giving you some health, and you being able to take on enemies that would have just one-shotted you.
So this is the magic of Gothic. Everybody who played the game will tell you that this is a crucial thing that Alchemy needs to get right. this is the progression, the learning curve, right? You're so weak at the beginning. They call it the German Dark Souls for a reason, obviously. And you get your first skill points, you get your first weapons, and then it's slowly moving, you know, and up until the point where you kind of engage orcs and all that, it's a ladder that you have to climb. And I have no doubt. I think I have no doubt that Alchemia will nail it. By playing just the demo on the Gamescom, I think I was very joyful about it. Obviously, there was some critique coming Alchemia's way, but just judging by, you know, the weapons and the combat skills. I mean, I had my fair share about my fair share of complaints about the combat. I said it was just like many other people said it was too sluggish and stuff like that. But relatively quick after that, they fixed it, and it looked very much on point then. But we'll see. I haven't played it. You probably haven't played it, but it looks good.
Just a little bit ago is still there. I also think they did a great job with the, not exactly reimagining, but perhaps giving the world a fresh coat of paint while retaining some of the immersion. So one of the things I really loved about the original Gothic was how that world felt to maneuver around. For as old as it was, it had an incredible atmosphere. And I did see that here in this preview. I can't speak to all of it, obviously, only had access to so much, but walking through the woods at night in this particular game is a rough situation, especially at the beginning, because it is very dark, and while you can get light and things from the moon or a torch, obviously, that doesn't give you perfect vision, and if you run into like a wolf at a low level, you're just dead. So that kind of leading into you needing to understand your surroundings, and that feeling is still there, and I'm happy to see that. However, on the flip side of that, I also think this is obviously introducing some changes that I think are going to wind up being a little controversial for the old diehards. Like, for instance, they've added difficulty options. We're going to get into that.
Oh my god, yeah, I totally forgot about that. So, yes, they were teasing this months ago when I uploaded semi-regularly. And they said they're looking into, you know, how can we adjust the experience if you want to go for something, you know, a little more advanced playthrough. And there it is now. So, close combat flow helper. To me, this screams like, hey, we're helping you a little bit out with the rhythm of the combat. But there is the question, is there still the need for rhythm-based combat? Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in the original, you had to master the rhythm to chain your attacks. Now the question is that still in the demo? Or is that still in the... Will this be in the game? Because the last time I've played the Nyrus demo, back in the day, it didn't feel like you're depending on the rhythm. Maybe they changed it, and this is obviously something that can help you out. Hello, Delvin. Okay. We're talking about this a little later on. So permadeath is a cool little feature for people who do challenge runs. This is actually pretty awesome to put that into the game. It's just like, you know, you don't have to activate it. It's just an option, and we all like options. Combat, resources, progression. Okay, what could that mean? Combat. I could see us doing less damage, or the enemies doing more damage. Resources, okay, maybe you get less health and less mana when leveling up. Or progression, I don't even know. Maybe you get less experience points. I don't know. I don't know. That might be something to discuss. And here we can see some presets: novice, gothic, hard, and custom. All right, actually I'm okay with this, because it's not like... I don't think it's taking away too much from it. I think it's okay. Especially for newer players. Like I'm going in there. I played on Gothic, like regular, I want to say, and then the next playthrough, you know, getting accustomed with everything, with the controls and stuff once more. And second playthrough, I think I'm going for hard. All right. So, okay. The rhythm part likely refers to allowing you to chain combos by mashing the keys. The Unreal Engine remaster of the original on Steam has this option. Okay, this is... Thank you, Lemon Stealer. This might be a good explanation. Okay, Delvin, you grumpy man. I don't care if you're grumpy. I'm so glad to have you back. Okay, yeah, this is an AI thumbnail, but the rest is completely human. I write my own scripts. I I get my own footage, which I don't enjoy doing, and the least thing that I enjoy doing is actually crafting thumbnails. I am horrible, actually horrible, with little edits when it comes to pictures and stuff like that. Really horrible. I'm very bad at it. And AI gave me the opportunity to mash some things together, which is very much given me a good old time of not caring too much about it. And I have to say, yes, I'm not completely, you know, satisfied with this solution, but it's something that I do for now, okay? But it's good to have you back, brother. So now let's continue.
They've also adjusted some of the quests to accommodate for things that are no longer relevant. Just to give a quick example, in the original Gothic, you had to learn how to sneak. That's not something you could do just by default. In Gothic Remake, it is. And so there's an introductory quest that in the original would have seen you learning how to sneak, and like that was more or less the focus of the quest. But here, that quest has been altered because you no longer need to learn how to sneak. And that stuff in combination with the addition of the new content we know that they've added but have only seen a little bit of, remains to be seen how well that content both fits in and, you know, how good it actually is. But let's take this one thing at a time here. Let's talk about the technical state. How was this running? Happy to...
let me just get this straight. So you will be able to steal right from the get-go, just like you will be able to lockpick. I guess I don't know, but I guess. But you're very bad at it. So you go to the trainers and you get better at it. This is how I imagine it to be, which is okay. It opens a lot of possibilities. You know, if somebody says, "Hey, you know, there is a quest. We need you to steal something," and then maybe you fail, maybe you don't fail. Gives you a little, you know, puts you on the edge, or makes your heart beat a little faster. You know, when you're trying to rob this person and you fail horribly. But it's also, you know, there's so many things, and I'm already calculating in my head, what kind of archetype do you want to play? Do you want to be old camp? Do you want to be a thief? Do you want to be this or that? Will my experience or my learning points be enough? Jesus Christ. I don't know. It's a lot to take in, but now he's talking about the game and how it's running. Okay.
Say that at least for me here in this preview, it ran quite well. I actually didn't have really any issues with running the game itself, and that was certainly up for debate. The very original demo, when they were first floating the idea of making this game at all, they put out that initial sort of proof of concept demo that was very rough. The Nyrus prologue, which is the current demo, is also not exactly the most optimized experience and is really just meant to introduce the core concepts. So to be honest, I went into this expecting it to be a little choppy, and it was actually a pretty current demo.
Let us talk a second about this, okay? The maps are actually floating around the internet for quite some time. I think since the Nyrus demo was made available and other stuff was in the files as well, and I got spoiled a little bit for a game that's 20 plus years old. But this is a little interesting what we can see right here, especially when we talk about certain locations. For example, this little area right here. In the western part of west of the old mine, right? We were always like speculating about it. Is it the second mountain pass? But now it seems there is a huge waterfall and a little lake. I don't know. Seems like it. what's also interesting is that it could still be a mountain pass, but it somehow got flooded. I don't know, but I can't wait to explore these areas. Oh my god, this is so cool. Then we obviously have this little area right next to this second mountain pass, which seems to be some type of plateau. So in the original, this was empty mountains, and now you can see there is some foliage on there. There are some trees up there. I wonder if we can go there somehow. I don't know. Oh my god, it's John Gothic in the chat. Everybody please calm your tits. It's John Gothic. Welcome, John. Welcome, John. I hope you're doing well. Okay, back to the topic. There are actually some plateaus that have some foliage on there, and I wonder, you know, will this be just dead space, just like in the original? Some places I can imagine that they are pretty much dead, but some places, again, you know, we haven't seen the snowy region yet. We don't know where that is. I don't know. Could be anywhere, really. But it's all right. Jesus Christ, this is a nice map, and that's the map that you can get from Graham, I think. Yeah, because of the huge X that marks the spot, the old mine. Okay, everybody, let's continue.
Also not exactly the most optimized experience, and is really just meant to introduce the core concepts. So to be honest, I went into this expecting it to be a little choppy, and it was actually a pretty smooth experience. I will say I did have a quest bug out on me. You were meant to go gather some things. I gathered all of them. The quest even updated that all I had to do was go talk to the guy again, and it just refused to proceed from there. So hopefully that will be fixed in the final release, but it's my understanding that all they're really doing at this point is, in fact, polishing everything.
Oh my god, this looks so good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like the direct path to the old mine when you go through the forest. Jesus Christ, that looks awesome. I think even in the original there's like a tree stump, you know, a fallen tree that serves as a bridge, but I could be wrong. I'm not really sure about this. Performance, yeah, it's still something that we're working on. I think optimization and quest bugs, dude. I think we're so set for a day one patch, or you know, there will be patches. There will be patches, obviously, because players will try everything and they will find the bugs. And let's not pretend it's something game breaking or the game loses value. Like, let's be honest, the days of, you know, you go into a shop, you buy a game, and here's the game, and it's ready to play in all its complete length. Those days are over, because they could afford like testers and shit like that. Oh boy, but this is not like taking the joy out of the experience for me, to be honest.
So
Okay.
with any luck, that will be the case. I still wanted to mention it though. But obviously, we'll see how it runs for everybody else when it is released to a wider set of hardware on June 5th. Next up, I mentioned difficulty options. What's that about? Obviously, that's something we need to talk about, and so let's do that. It looks like what they've essentially done is made the baseline Gothic experience normal, or Gothic difficulty, and then they've added one below that called novice, one above that called hard, alongside custom difficulty settings. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, this is one that I feel a little on the fence about. I'm not necessarily opposed to adding a harder situation like via hard mode and stuff. However, I do think this is the kind of game where the progression from being a weak nobody who dies immediately to this absolute powerhouse of a hero who is almost functionally unkillable is just part of the experience. Powerhouse of a immediate.
There's some explanation.
Hard mode and stuff.
Close combat flow helper. If activated, it's not required to use the correct follow-up attack, but instead the combat flow continues with any attack used. However, this doesn't trigger an actual combo. This option is not recommended for hardcore players. Okay. So certain attack chains, they need to be activated in a certain order. I get that. So it's not rhythm-based, but rather You know, it's like you know, which attack can I chain to the next one? It's all right. I think I need to get used to it. I really like the rhythm part of the original games, but it's all right.
However, I do think this is the kind of game where the progression from being a weak nobody who dies immediately to this...
Oh, you went a little fast on that one.
Immediately to...
Combat affects enemy health, resistances, and damage. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, the other ones.
This absolute powerhouse of a hero who is almost functionally unkillable is just part of the experience. You're meant to be very weak in the beginning, and then you become ridiculously overpowered if you put in the work. And I do...
Okay, so he's speaking the truth, and I just said that I don't have a problem with these types of options, and that's, you know, I stand by that. Because you will have eventually a crowd that longs for a more accessible experience, and just to cover that, they implemented something like this. On the other hand, he is absolutely right. You know, one of my favorite moments in Gothic are like when you achieve certain milestones, which are, for example, in my playthroughs, finding a good weapon, finding a big spell that will be very helpful, grinding to a certain level, because then you can have some quality of life skills that you can acquire, and also some combat skills and all that. And I think it lessens the impact of those milestones that you can possibly achieve. And yeah, there's downside to that, definitely, to the feel, to the rough feel, to the atmosphere, because the atmosphere draws also from, you know, how hard is it to survive in the world of Gothic, in my opinion. If you know, I can go into this crypt over there, into these ruins, and I can just kill everything on sight. The sense of dread, the sense of, hey, is this somehow threatening to me, is lessened. And yeah, bro, what can I say? You know, there's always ups and downs, and there's always two sides of the story. And I think, you know, it's a compromise, just to be accessible enough for people who don't really like it that hard. It is what it is, but it's optional. It's optional. That's a good thing, right? And as I say, options are always good. We'll see how it goes, but there's definitely something to it.
You feel like adding an easy mode to this specific game that they made this experience for, even all the way back then, is kind of a detriment to that. So I don't love that there's an easier difficulty here, but it looks like what these difficulties actually affect is combat, as well as the availability of resources from things via like traders, etc., like how prices and things fluctuate, and how much experience you are gaining for progression and the like. There is a permadeath option. I'm not exactly sure what close combat flow helper actually does. I think it is meant to help you with comboing. Difficulty out of the way, however, now let's talk about the rest of the game. So I'm going to jump around a little here. This is because this next part won't be new information if you have played the game, but I do kind of want to set the stage for people who have not played it and are looking to jump into the remake to play the game for the first time. If you are unaware, the story of Gothic follows a set character, an unnamed hero known as, believe it or not, the Nameless Hero. There is not a character creation, this is just the guy you are playing, and you start the game with this guy about to get tossed into a prison colony, which doesn't have any way of you getting back out. However, as this is about to happen, a mage shows up and gives you a letter to give to the fire mages in the colony, basically kind of implying that you might be able to bargain your way out of the colony if you do this for him. But what is this prison colony? Well, you see, the kingdom at large is at war with orcs who are invading from all sides, and they need to mine as much of the magic ore that they can in order to make weapons to fight this war. They intended to set up this...
Okay, interesting. I was talking about this in my last videos. This is not Pyrocar. I hope this is not Pyrocar, right? Because Pyrocar is older. And he doesn't even have the proper robes on. So I can see him being some type of ambassador of the Corina's Fire Mages chapter, right? He's not the guy in charge. Whereas in the original, I think it was pretty clear that this would become Pyrocar, right? I don't know. Do I like this? I don't really see a problem in that change, because now the High Magician of the Fire Mages on Corina's remains somewhat of a mystery. I mean, all the veterans, we know what it's all about. So, but it could also be cool for newer people, you know, to see Pyrocar handing you over or some random mage who happens to be Pyrocar gives you the letter. And when Gothic 2, the remake, comes out, hopefully, we'll see that it was indeed this person who gave you the letter. And they're like, oh, crazy. I know this old codger. I know him. Okay, let us read the chat a little bit. Here we go. Delvin says, I actually like the original Graham's map better, where it only had the path to the old mine, as it shows his greed, and his laziness. I kind of agree. It takes away from the mystery, I want to say. You could have just drawn like the upper portion of the map, the north. I would have been fine with it. San Andreas says, you got the early preview? No, I do not. If the difficulty options don't influence NPC's AI, then it's not good in my opinion. Could be another option, right? To make the AI less aggressive, maybe. But I think this is damaging the flow of the game a little too hard. And I haven't seen much of the AI yet. It had its problems back in the Nyrus demo and in the footage that we got after. But again, I haven't seen all of this. It only influences stats. Okay. Cannot bring myself to complain about it. Stats is a broad term. Yeah, I agree, Lemon Stealer. Up enemy defenses by half, and it's a whole different game. That's it. Yeah. If Pyrocar looks too young, yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, people are still discussing the player experience by lowering, you know, the difficulty.
Colony to force people to do that, and they tried to set up a barrier to contain the people within, but something went wrong with its construction.
Why is he so dirty? Am I going crazy? Did they mix up some of the face textures? No, like, I don't want to throw shade, but it makes more sense that diggers have like a dirty face, and like, you got to understand that mages in the Gothic universe, they're royalty. They're, once you don the armor of the fire mages, the robe, you are, you know, a cleric. You are, just like in the real world, you had been part of the upper class. So maybe he's just a dirty dude. Or maybe, yeah, he's, I don't know. But he looks dirty.
Which resulted in people being able to go in and pass this barrier, but if anything tries to go out, the barrier murders them. So goods can travel back and forth, but living things cannot. Now this made a bit of a problem for the kingdom, because their initial idea was to, of course, impose their own...
Oh, we gotta talk about this dude. The judge. He's not wearing his funny hat, bro. Where's this hat? I love the hat. Usually I'm against any type of headwear in Gothic games, like if it's like, you know, it's a separate thing. But this hat was so fucking huge. It was iconic. It was like a top hat, but in this yellow color. Dude, this is crazy. He looks like a pimp, actually. I like it. I really do. It's crazy. Slivers, my man. Good to see you. Yeah, great thumbnail, right? Yeah, he kind of looks like a mage. He does. But, bro, also in the original, you know, he looked like he was a magic aficionado.
Rule over the place, but...
Have you seen this? I gotta go back. Look at that.
problem for the kingdom because their initial idea was to, of course, impose their own rule.
Look how he's protesting, but then there is the fire mage, you know. And obviously the people, they know that the fire mages, they're mighty people. And they literally can throw fireballs at you.
Over the place. But as things stand, the prisoners in the colony are essentially ruling themselves. However, there is a bit of a shaky alliance where they are still mining and shipping ore out to the kingdom in exchange for the goods and things they need to actually survive. And this has led, of course, to the very uneasy situation we find ourselves in. However, the mining colony is a very unfriendly place, as you find out by waking up and getting punched in the face, recreating that original intro. And I want to use that moment to both talk about progression and perhaps then explain why the novice difficulty I don't think should be here, but also talk about the wider setting. Now, the thing you need to understand is that what makes Gothic Gothic is that you are thrown into a place like this colony and you are extraordinarily weak. Basically anything can kill you with extreme ease, and your job is to basically do the things you can do, put up with the things you have to put up with, until you get strong enough to do something about it. And so while you start the game as this...
Oh my god, I gotta stop. Lemon Stealer, the judge is no longer a hamster-looking balding guy in his 50s. How is this so accurate, bro? On point, man. Really on point.
Weak little guy who gets murdered by mole rats, you turn into a character that is functionally unkillable if you're not terrible. The game shows this progression in a lot of ways, but basically as you level up, you're going to earn learning points, and if you take those learning points alongside some money, most like, in fact everybody trades an ore, so that's kind of the currency here, and that ore and your learning points find a trainer, and you can either increase your stats or learn techniques. Increasing stats is helpful. You basically have strength and dex that you can increase manually, magic as well, but that's more of a late game thing. Strength is melee weapons, dexterity is ranged weapons, and those are going to increase your raw power as well as give you the ability to equip. Okay,
I don't know how far you can play. Like 5 hours, that's pretty long actually for a demo, but you can learn mana, you can increase your mana in the late game. I think you will be able to learn it a little faster. It doesn't make sense to not increase your mana early on. I mean, we got confirmation that this time around they want to make sure that you can learn or that you can play as a mage earlier than usual. Because in the original, it was like, hey, you got to play as a melee fighter for the first third of the game, something around that, you know, or the first quarter of the game, I don't know. But you spend some significant time actually bludgeoning away your opponents with physical powers. You have to do this before you're granted the circle of the mages. So I don't really know. Maybe they changed it again. I'm not sure about this.
Better versions of those corresponding items. However, what it won't do is make you good at using them. This is where some of that training comes in. One of the cool things that even the original Gothic did was that it functionally changed how your character attacked by giving you this training. So in the beginning of the game, you're trying to use one-handed swords with two hands, you're swinging super slowly, you can't do any combos, but once you find a trainer and learn to be trained in that particular type of weapon, there's a bunch of trainers for each type, it literally makes using that weapon type easier, both by giving you faster attacks, allowing you to combo, allowing you to parry, things like that, and just giving you more options. You don't get shields here, by the way, you block with regular weaponry. Now the big thing here is combos. You have a bunch,
which is the only logical thing to do. This is right to not have shields. I have to repeat this every single time I'm live. No shields and no separate helmet options. Go away with this. It's horrible.
Of attacks by default, your basic attack, but you can also do like overheads or piercing stabs, that kind of thing, which are fine, but slow. Once you get trained in a weapon, you can start performing combos. Once you master a weapon, you can combo and then perform a finisher at the end. This is actually something the game does to get you more into the idea of attacking and approaching combat slowly. In fact, button mashing is never a good idea because you can fail to combo even if you are in fact trained. But basically, as you attack and that attack ends, if you then click instead of button mashing, you can lead yourself into a combo. And this is of course a more efficient way of dealing with enemies because you're more likely to stagger them. It's again faster, so you're hitting them more often without getting hit. And then take that alongside with both enemy attack patterns, as each enemy in the game has its own sort of way of approaching combat and the like. Like for instance, scavengers love to do like this head down charge thing, goblins love to throw things at you, etc, etc. But then you start getting some variety in and you start understanding how to...
I hope that goblins will be thrown too by the trolls, but that remains to be seen. Yeah, that was something in the early phase of Gothic where trolls or goblins would hang around with trolls, and then trolls would grab a goblin and throw it at you, which is completely cool. And by the way, I've seen footage of the hero now being able to throw things, which is absolutely cool. So you can distract or lure in certain enemy types, like animals and stuff, which is awesome. This is like these little details. They really, they really make you feel like you're playing a role-playing game. If you want to be more like the stealth guy and you want to lure a monster away from the group or whatever, this is so cool. So yeah, goblins being able to throw little rocks and shit, that's awesome. And animals having different attack patterns, this is obviously a no-brainer because they already did that in the original games, and I would have been mad about it if they didn't recreate this in the remake.
To deal with it, and you can start to master these things a little bit. But in order to do any of that, you've got to put up with the less than savory denizens of the camps. Now, I only had access to the old camps here, so I can't speak to New Camp or the Swamp Camp, which, if you don't know, are the factions you're going to have to join to progress the story. You can only join one per playthrough, and it affects some of the stuff available to you. One thing I'll be curious to see in the end is whether or not they added any unique content, because one of the problems the original Gothic had is that it was very front-loaded. You had to join these factions to advance the story, but like once you joined the factions, that was pretty much it. All the work was, kind of put into joining them and not much after that. Outside of course, just the main story stuff. So I'll be curious to see if they expand any of that. But the old camp is, of course, the main camp, as the name would imply. And they are the ones functionally carrying out the mining of all the ore and everything, and you can go visit the mines and get an idea of their whole operation. Whereas the new camp and the swamp camp have different ideas. The new camp has the water mages and the mercenary types, and they are actively looking for a way to blow up the barrier to get out by stockpiling the ore instead of trading it. The swamp camp are a bunch of lunatics who are smoking swamp weed, as it is called, though the original just called it weed in the English version, which was super funny to me, but they do call it swamp weed this time around. Swamp weed basically gets these guys high while also allowing them to tap into more magical powers, and they have sort of been in contact with what they are calling the Sleeper, who they believe will lead them to freedom. But there's also a group of orcs that call this colony home as well. I got a good look at them via a captured one in the mines, despite not being able to journey to their actual territory. Not that you'd want to, you'd get obliterated at the beginning. And they look, more or less like orcs, as you would probably expect. But the other thing I want to talk about is stuff.
Look at Tim. He's just hanging out there. He's hanging out there. He's got this contraption around his neck. Yeah, okay. I mean, I hope we see the orcs do some other jobs in the old mine instead of just operating the Stomper. I don't know. But him sitting around and stuff like that, yeah, that's cool.
Stuff on the world side of things. So something the remake was intending to do was expand some of the living world from the original. So believe it or not, despite when it released, the original Gothic, all the way back in 2001, predating things like Morrowind, etc., actually had like a sandbox open world with NPCs that had like schedules and reactions, etc. It was genuinely...
Give me a second here. I just read the chat. Lindrian says, now you can learn basic runes right at the beginning after doing a fetch quest for Torres. 2 claws and a pallet. Plus you can choose between Firebolt and Healing Rune. It feels way too easy for me. Oh, paper, you mean? Yeah, that would be interesting, just to get along as a mage early on. You know, just have 1-2 spells, and I think fireball could be. Can you charge a fireball? Probably not, right? It's the greater fireball. But something like this, I don't really care about that, as long as it's somewhat as it is balanced, you know, in a way. I don't really care about that, because that is always a gripe I had with the games, and I've never played as a mage in Gothic 1. never once. But that you have to rely on melee weapons so hard to advance as a mage. Yeah, I don't really like it. Humble Hornet, I think it was just called Weed in Gothic 1 if you play it in English. Yeah, they just call it Weed.
Very impressive for the time, given the context. All the way here in 2026, they wanted to, of course, improve upon that, and they've done that in a few ways. But I will say things like that have become increasingly more common since the original. So outside of like the original flavor of Gothic and the way the game sort of beats you down in a way I'm sure people will compare to something like Morrowind in the end, these are nonetheless systems that you will have seen before,
okay.
Like how the justice system works. For instance, when you say get caught stealing, or if an NPC attacks you, they don't generally try to kill you. What they'll do is knock you out and potentially take some of your stuff, and then you can just get back.
One thing I want to criticize here right now, they got such shoddy huts in the old camp. I mean, what the fuck is going on? If there is a light breeze, you know, it just pushes through the walls, and you're just exposed to the elements. Like every single hour of you being in the fucking shed. This looks horrible. I mean, we saw something. We saw a screenshot or a little snippet of Ian coming back into the old camp. I don't want to spoil you, but this is all readily available. You can watch that stuff. It's on the internet. And he's complaining about the state of the old camp, like the structural integrity, like literally the huts and the walls and whatnot. Maybe we see some of them fixing the huts, but look, I don't care if there are some huts that look like this. Especially if it's like Kyle's hut that just got erected and he just got a second door in his wall. But, bro, look at those gaps between the beams, the wooden beams. It's crazy. Crazy, actually.
Back up after that. And you'll do the same to those NPCs typically when you attack them if you want to. This will, of course, trigger reactions from the surrounding people. Guildmates or people who are helping that character or like them will attack you if they see their friend being attacked, and vice versa.
I love the knocked out animation of the hero. It's like exactly the one that we got in Gothic 1 in the original. This is so cool.
Guild areas are generally considered trespassing if you try to get in there. However, it's not all bad. You have a surprising amount of...
Ergohush, this is what I thought, actually. This is what I still think. I always imagined like Corines, especially the Valley of Mines, being more of a mild climate, like you know, a little on the sunnier side, like a Mediterranean, as you say. But yeah. We will see. We will see. Everything looks run down in the outer ring. If we take a look at this screenshot in the background, we can see the exact same shoddy work. But maybe it's just how it is.
Leeway here, for instance, if you get caught stealing, you can actually like drop the items, and they'll usually let the infraction go.
Wait a fucking second. The most obvious thing I haven't addressed. What the fuck is Torres? That's Torres, right? That's Torres. Okay, what is he doing in the outer ring? I mean, I know the answer to make you, as Lindrin said, to make you get some things for him to teach you about the first circle, or just firebolt. Okay, but it's interesting to see the reasoning behind his absence in the courtyard, right? To know why he's in the outer ring. Maybe he's just shopping at Fisk's or something. That's cool.
you get caught stealing, you can actually like drop the items and they'll usually let the infraction go if they don't just attack you outright, like say a guard or something does see it. But if you get caught trying to pick a chest or something, you can just stop and they'll usually leave you alone, that kind of thing. But they've also expanded this to some other areas, like, for instance, how the traders manage their goods, how the world reacts to things like corpses, etc. So there's a decay system now. As you defeat animals, cool, they don't respawn necessarily. So when the chapter resets, things will spawn in and change a little bit as the game is divided into chapters. But for the most part, those animals will die and then decompose, and that's kind of it, and you'll kind of see that happen, which is a certainly interesting element that adds to the atmosphere, I think. But I wanted to mention that because if you've ever played the Gothic games, you know animals are actually a valuable resource for you if you have the skills to harvest them. One of the earliest trainers you can find is a guy who will teach you how to take things like teeth and hides, etc. from the animals you kill, which you can then sell for ore, which is...
Will you be able to kill an NPC, to kill an animal now, come back and skin it then? So you kill it, you don't have the skill, you go into the old camp or to Aiden or Cavalorn, you learn the skill, you can come back and skin it then? Dude, this would be so awesome. Jesus Christ, is that awesome. I had this problem not in Gothic 1 because I think I only once learned to skin hides, but in Gothic 2, you know, at the beginning you're almost forced to spend your first learning points on skinning for Bosper, or because they give you some money back, you know. And I was always so careful to not kill anything that can be skinned because I didn't have the skill yet. Jesus Christ, that would be awesome. At the same time, I'm like, okay, a rotting carcass, can you skin it? You know, is there some logic applied to it? I don't know, but it would be cool gameplay-wise. Again, you know, if you make a game too realistic, it's not fun anymore. But this is certainly cool. On top, you know, seeing whatever you kill decay over the time. Awesome. Awesome.
Is an incredibly lucrative way to fund your adventures. Learning how to do that has a high ore cost, but a low learning point cost, which means you'll want to try to do that quickly so you can make use of the animals you are.
Oh, by the way, just another short, you know, me addressing that we have some new people here in the chat and also watching. Hello, everybody. Greetings. Thank you all for tuning in. I love you. Merci.
Are killing, but that's just one of the ways the game tries to really drive home, outside of things like NPC schedules, etc., what is going on here and what kind of world you are in, as it makes it feel a little more like an ecosystem. But speaking of stuff like that, I mentioned the traders. So what is that about? So traders in this game have their own sort of system of buying and selling, which is more or less how they regenerate their own inventory.
He looks cool. He looks awesome. I like him. I like Mordrag.
As you sell things to a merchant, they will actually sell that excess inventory, which is how they get their ore stockpiles back. Meaning that over time, they'll of course have ore to trade with you so you can continue to sell things. Now they use the ore they get to actually restock everything that they normally sell, prioritizing crafting materials and consumables. One really interesting thing though is that the prices you will get fluctuate based on what the merchant has. So as you sell more and more of something to a merchant, the value of that item starts to go down, meaning you won't get necessarily the full amount. So that's especially noteworthy when like mass selling herbs or trophies and things from animals, and that seems to affect the general area. Like the more of that item you introduce to the local economies you will be interacting with, the less.
Jesus Christ, this is so awesome. I gotta stop here. We gotta talk about this. Hell yeah. I mean, this was obviously absent in the original games, and you would have merchants that would only restock after, you know, the chapter will change. You know, after you know, when you switch to chapter 2, they got new things in stock, they got more stuff. But this idea of building some type of like real-time economy is very interesting. So you have to carefully choose your trader where you wanna sell your stuff, and you need to make somewhat economical, tactical decisions where to go next and hand in your shit, which is interesting. It makes you think about the game more. Sure, I can hear voices saying like, "Oh, what's is there value added to the game if you do this?" I think it's awesome. It's just another layer of complexity. I think a very, very old game like Gothic needs, and that it affects the whole area is also that's adding to the immersion. It does.
Valuable it becomes. I'm sure many of you know how supply and demand works, and it's basically that just introduced into the system here, and I thought that was a really interesting touch to the world. But speaking of buying and selling, one of the first things you'll either want to buy or perhaps coerce someone into giving you is a map. One of the ways this game tries to drive home how difficult it can be is that you have to earn your map. It's not hard to find. The game more or less pushes you towards the old camp, and then like literally the first house on your right as you enter the old camp will have a guy who will sell you a map, but it doesn't end there. You see, there are actually multiple maps, and having more and more of them adds to your available map. You'll get maps that will mark specific locations, which you can check or uncheck on your main map to see where they are. And you can also get further maps for like individual areas, like the old camp specifically, for instance, that will switch as you move in. But to sort of start drawing this video to a close and getting across my main points here, I want to say that this game feels like Gothic to me. I think they really nailed like the core ideas, at least on Gothic difficulty, of being this weak nobody, slowly gaining power, making your place in the world, and immersing yourself in that world, and the feeling of accomplishment and progression that comes with that. Like, for instance, getting your first bit of armor is a really big deal. I like the little elements that they've taken to expand what's available here. I'm very curious to see that play out over the course of the entire game, obviously. I enjoy that the game seems to run pretty well for me thus far, other than that one bugged quest, and I think the atmosphere is still there and enjoyable. However, they've also clearly made some not insubstantial changes that I don't think everybody's gonna love. I personally don't think there should be a novice difficulty. I appreciate that this remake is going to bring in a bunch of people new to the game, and 99% of the time I am super pro difficulty options, and if you want to play novice, do you. It's not that big a deal to me personally, but I will say the experience that they are intending to give you is the baseline Gothic difficulty. And I would actually go so far as to argue that if you are not going to play on that one, you're not getting the true experience of what this game is meant to be about.
And there's truth to it. I really liked how he showed us like diving into that cave. I think that was somewhere at the ocean, and you found like a mist cap, which is some type of mushroom, which is very interesting, and some type of wood, which is crazy. What is it used for? Is it, to craft some arrows or something like that? I don't know. But I love it. I love diving in those games. It was so clunky back in the day, but diving is such this is an integral part for me for the Gothic experience, even though there was not much going on in the first game. I really like that they expand on this.
And although I would say this is mostly looking very good, I'm excited to play the rest of it when it gets closer to release, as I really want to play and experience everything that they have done here. But for today, that is pretty much going to do it. Hope you enjoyed this early look at Gothic Remake. If you're looking forward to the review, by all means, subscribe and stick around, which naturally means to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.
Alright, that was Mortismal Gaming here with his take on the Gothic remake demo. That was surely illuminating, and I want to go for Mr. Matty here because I watch him sometimes. I'm a little bit interested in what's going on at Bethesda, the old train wreck. I think Mr. Matty is very, very forgiving to Bethesda, but that's not what we're talking about today. But I was really shocked to see him, of all the people, who is coming from a certain type of fantasy, where while Gothic was conquering the heart of Europe, these titles, The Elder Scrolls, were conquering the rest of the world. I mean, also the heart of Europe, sure, but it would be cool to expose those people, this crowd, you know, also to our beloved game. And I really do like that we have a lot of people from the outside coming in. Remains to be seen if that is a good thing, but generally, I hope that it is a good thing. You know. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, we got some. Wasn't the edge of the beach where the fire lizards were? The cave, the underwater cave. I think so. Oh no, you're talking about the bottom part of the fog tower. It could be, maybe, yeah, maybe. I don't know. So Wolfhard has another video. Even if I know I got yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to get into Mr. Matty if you're okay with that.
Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today, we are gathering to talk about the Gothic remake. Gothic is a dark fantasy RPG that released in 2001 by developer Piranha Bytes. It served as one of the main inspirations for the Witcher series, and it even beat the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion to the punch with its daily schedule system for its NPCs. Now, when this game released, your boy was 6 years old, so it was a little too tough for young Matty. I was still finding my way through the RPG genre, but now, even at the age of 30, Gothic is still kicking my ass. We'll get to all of that in a little bit here, but the journey to the remake's actually quite interesting. You see, in December 2019, anyone who owned Elix, Gothic, or Risen was actually given access to a playable teaser for the Gothic remake in their Steam library. THQ Nordic wanted to test the waters and see if people would be interested in it, and I think we did our part because we made a video about it, and that cranked out over 250,000 views. This is really cool to see because from that video, we were not like the main source of any sort of widespread coverage, but more people started to talk about it because awareness was growing. Now here we are, June 5th, 2026, the Gothic...
How these simple shots, they look so much better than the playable teaser. Just in every aspect. Jesus Christ.
Remake is due out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. THQ Nordic was kind enough to reach out with some early access for the game. Let me get some hands-on time. They are also the sponsors of this video, so if you're interested in learning more about the Gothic remake, I'll have a link in the description down below for you. Otherwise, you know the drill. Let's dive right into this and talk a little bit about Gothic remake. Now, I want to start off with who's making it, because this game is coming from Alchemia Interactive, with key developers from the original Gothic team who are on board. They are a Barcelona-based studio, and they are remaking Gothic from the ground up. It is not a remaster. However, what you should know here is the story, the characters, the world all remain the same, while they have updated the game with, of course, as you see, new visuals, but also a new animation system and a reworked combat system that we'll dive into in a little bit. The original game was dark and gritty, and the remake is preserving a lot of that tone. At the same time, there is a little bit more stop and smell the roses. You can see a little bit more foliage, and dare I say, even though that magical dome overhead is keeping me trapped inside here, there are some times at nighttime where I just look up and go, man, this looks really nice. Speaking of the barrier,
it's almost like looking at Northern Lights, right? I really like this scene here where he's running towards the river. This is obviously the broken hut when we leave for the swamp camp, going from the old camp. It's on the left-hand side, and it was just a few walls, and now you can see it's pretty much ruined. And I wonder what that is, you know. I fucking love the locations of Gothic, and I can imagine this to be some type of hunting ground, base camp maybe, because it's next to the forest. I don't know. But he's completely right. This time around, we will have a lot more eye candy. When it comes to the visual component. Gothic was very limited back in its day. Well, because we didn't have the shit that we have today, right? And so far, it looks awesome. One little thing that I just remembered was that in the previous video, the jumping animation looks a little bit floaty. It looks like you're... Yeah, it looks a little off. But jumping, to be fair, is always like hit or miss in any game. I haven't seen one game that does jumping right, because it looks so unnatural, right? Because it is unnatural to just stand around and then jump. Or it's weird. It's weird, but it looks a little bit floaty. I wish there was a little more weight that you can feel when jumping, but this is just nitpicking.
Here, there are some times at nighttime where I just look up and go, man, this looks really nice. Speaking of the barrier, the general premise of the story is that you play as a nameless hero who is sentenced to the Valley of Mines. This is the setting for the game's handcrafted open world. Said mines are encased in a magical barrier. More on that in just a sec here. But before you are sent down, you are tasked with giving a letter to the fire mages. And within this barrier are multiple camps made up of criminals who have all been sentenced here. They split off to form all of their own factions, so it's truly a
Max. It's Max. Okay. I like that they introduce new characters. Very interesting. I mean, we all know the old ones, but the new ones, dude, that would be cool as well. Question is, where is that? You can see Zardes Tower in the background. Oh boy. Where could that be? I don't know. Maybe in the canyon leading up to the new camp. I don't know.
Of the inmates running the asylum, and the result is an extremely unforgiving world. As for the magic...
Wait. No way. They put streamers in the fucking game? I hope this is like a one-time joke. Is it a one-time joke? Is this some type of gimmick for their testing grounds, for their demo that they got? Because that would be absolutely horrible. Don't get me wrong, you know. It's actually in the game. Oh my god, no. No, brother. Okay, let's move on. This is not good, brother. No.
Unforgiving world. As for the magic barrier, it's there by the mages to keep all of you in and working on getting ore, which is this world's currency.
I hate this.
It's a one-way trip, or so they say, and a big focus on the game is, well, how do you get out of here? The TLDR is that you're a nobody. You're treated as such, and
look at that beard, man. He looks fearsome.
Boy, do you perform as such. You start as a level 1. Okay, pretty typical in an RPG, but anything can kill you. Anything. This game convinced me that despite playing RPGs for the better part of like 85% of my life, I still got a long way to go before I can say I've mastered things. This game will kick your ass.
Is he bullshitting me? Is he trying to fist fight a fucking scavenger? Like, bro, come on.
It's just salt on the moon when everyone here just doesn't care about you.
I mean, if you don't know Gothic, you don't know about the hierarchy of the animals. We old schoolers, we obviously know right at the beginning, when you don't have any armor pieces on, you don't engage a fucking lizard. You do that when you got the shadow armor. You know, or the bandit armor, or the novice skirt, maybe. You know, and if you've got a good weapon for that type, for that stage of the game. But, I mean, come on. I think Mr. Matty isn't that familiar with Gothic and the hierarchy of the enemies and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you're just trying to survive as best you can. At least there's mud, though. God, mud, dude. Okay, so for those who haven't played Gothic, and this guy has to be a meme in the Gothic community, because this dude, I decided to recruit because I was desperate enough. I was like, I need help. And this dude was offering up. He stops you to talk about everything. I love that this game straight up trolled me the whole time. This dude would talk to me in the middle of combat. I'd be like, bro, I would tell him to shut up and listen to him.
Please, could you shut up for just one moment?
Sure. Perfectly reasonable response. He's like, sure. And he actually would shut up for a little bit. But dude, this guy, it's such a shame. He's so nice. He's like, hey, you're my best mate here. And I'm like, oh man, he is really nice. Shame I gotta kill you. Like, I tried to hang on because in my head, I'm like, this is where RPGs test you. They test your patience, and then if I let this guy live, I'm gonna get a nice reward out of it. I was like, dude, they could have given me the best weapon in the game. It's not worth it. Mud had to die. So after killing Mud, I'm back to being level 1 on my own again. And you know what? I needed to get rid of Mud. He was a bit of a crutch here because this is a brutal, unforgiving world in every sense. It's about choices and reactivity. In dialogue...
It's so funny that the glossary got updated as well once you kill him. I'm like, you know, can you imagine what it says? Like, yeah, I met this dude in the old camp, and he's into sheep or whatever, into animals, and he's creepy and very talkative, and he follows me around. Well, Mud is gone. I killed him. What the fuck?
It can be hilarious at times. You can make choices like this and respond like this.
Thor said Mordrag steals from the ore barons. I wonder what he thinks of Mordrag being your supplier.
You're threatening me? Bad idea, Freshie. Bad idea.
I don't give a shit.
You can attack anyone you want. You just better be ready for a fight. If that person knocks you out in the camp, it's not game over in those instances. They will loot you. You get the receipt. All the years of you killing people and looting bodies, and now it's coming back to haunt you. Now, if you get knocked down on the floor, someone pulls up to you and takes your loot off of you. I lost a really great axe because I accidentally hit a dude, and he pulls up, he hits me really clean. He goes,
boy.
That'll do nicely. Like, they don't even pick the worst thing you have. They take...
Of all the enemy, of all the NPCs that he could have picked a fight with, it's the mighty Templar Gornadrak. I mean, look at him. He's a zealot, bro. He's a big old man in a big old piece of armor. He gets you right, man. Jesus, look at his tiny axe. Look at that. Look at that Neanderthal-looking thing in his hand. Oh my god. What the fuck?
The best stuff you have. It's so unforgiving. So naturally, this makes you very careful because now any human can knock you out, any creature can knock you out, a bug can knock you out, so you can't get careless and you can't get cocky. This makes navigating the story enjoyably difficult because, for example, you could get a little bit of ore and pay for some camp protection. So hey, if anyone messes with me, someone will jump in and rough them up a little bit. But also, to get a little bit further in the story, you need to get recommendations from people within the camp. That means you have to do favors, and usually those favors involve working someone else over. So you'll get a recommend.
Gotta say something again here. Many people, I think, have unrealistic expectations when it comes to games like the remake, because you always compare it to, you know, like AAA games, Red Dead Redemption, Witcher 3 and all that kind of stuff, but it's still a AA game. And I think, yeah, it might be a standard right now, but I think that the facial animations are quite good, actually. I like it.
But also someone else will be like, dude, screw you. You took out my main supplier. So simply put, this game is not for the faint of heart in more ways than one. I really like how they kind of portray the gameplay in Gothic because it feels like all these simple things I take for granted in any other RPG are the most exciting bits that you earn in Gothic. For example, we're in a world where we're used to waypoints or at the bare minimum a map. But here, there are no maps. There are no waypoints. There's a quest log. It updates gradually. And really, maps are just purchased here. And they're like an item you have to take out of your inventory and look for yourself and kind of reference and pay attention to world details, signage, that sort of stuff. Like truly...
Remember gaming when you had to pay attention and play the game and use your fucking two brain cells? Remember that? Yeah, I remember. This is a great change. Other studios should take a lesson from this, really.
Old school, or I guess you could steal these maps if you'd like to. The weather and lighting are much more driven into realism than I expected. For example, nighttime is extremely dark. And this makes little things that, again, I take for granted, like torches, extremely useful. But also, this is in a game where you're holding, at least initially, a torch in one hand and a spell in the other. It's like when you're ready to fight and you got a torch in your hand, you plant that sucker in the ground, then take out your weapon. So it's not like video game lights where if I enter a dark cave and I do not have the torch on me, guess what? I had to go into the settings and crank up my gamma really high.
No.
But otherwise, I would have been screwed. So it's just beyond even the things I was talking about, that this game is just really tough on you, which, again, from what I have read based on people's impressions and playtime of the game, this is very faithful to the original. I cannot speak with the utmost certainty because, of course, I did not play much of the original, but I am definitely having a very tough time with Gothic in a good way. One thing with this remake I really like is how they do approach combat, because it's not a hack and slash per se. It's really about gradually, you know, luring out your enemies.
What the fuck is going on? Have you seen that? The mole rat is digging into the ground and charging you. That's so crazy. Dude, I like that. So, yeah. As Mort said in the last game, obviously enemies will have different attack patterns, but also very special attacks, and I like that very, very much. Awesome. If it's balanced enough, if you don't get, I don't know, stunned to death by such an attack, that would be awesome. Just to get into that discussion that's going on in the chat real quick, yeah, I'm not claiming this is a AAA title, and no one actually did claim, but people nowadays, like consumers, you and me, regular people, we tend to compare it to the best of the best. You know, it's like in real life we don't do that, but with games we tend to do it. You know, when it's like comparing Gothic to comparing The Witcher 3 or, as I said, Red Dead Redemption 2 to Gothic, you know, and then saying, oh, it doesn't look so good. It's like saying, hey, my Ford Fiesta, why isn't it running like a fucking Lamborghini Murcielago, you know? Like, what the fuck is going on? You simply cannot compare it. The resources that Rockstar have, for example, they are massive. They are working on these games with thousands of people, actually. And how big is the team at Alchemia? I don't even know. I should have asked that when I had the opportunity. Is it like 100 people? I don't know. But you simply cannot compare it. But people tend to do it either way.
One, taking them down one by one. It makes things like ranged options really useful. It makes things like rolling or magic extremely exciting unlocks, but it also gradually feels better as you level up. And the game deliberately puts you in a hole, but as you come out of it, man, does that curve feel really good. But it's not just your imagination. The animations in this game actually improve as you train certain skills in this game. As you get better, you actually see that, and you can chain together attacks a little bit easier. Now, in the original Gothic, you had to sort of time your attacks just right. One thing they did to rework the combat system, and you can turn this off, by the way, but it allows you to just sort of press the buttons and connect to attack. By no means does this make combat easy at all. Yeah, you get a little backstep. Yeah, you can block a little bit. I was getting smoked constantly. It made no difference to me that I had these tools available. So if you are worried about this neutering your experience, maybe a Gothic expert this could be a game changer for. But for someone like me who's played RPGs their whole life and had this setting on, it just made combat a little bit more manageable, but not so much that it absolutely trivialized anything, at least not yet. The way leveling works in this game is also really interesting, because as you complete quests and kill enemies, you'll gain XP, but then you'll get what are called learning points. Now, these learning points will be used alongside ore, which is, again, the game's currency, to go to trainers and spend on skills that you'll level up. Things like strength, dexterity, lockpicking, pickpocketing. These are all skills that you can learn. With things like strength, they do scale in a way where it impacts the equipment that you can use, but also the damage you can do. When you actually level up like a full character level, things like your mana and your health go up. Whereas skills that you could unlock...
Yeah, man, this is so important, because it's so sad when you play games like the last... I was really disappointed by Elex 1, you know, when it came out. I was investing so hard into strength in my first playthrough. I wanted to be, you know, a berserker from Goliath. And I was like, yeah, you go full strength with this one. And yeah, it was basically only, the core stats were only like an entrance way. You know, it's like a threshold to hold weapons, to use them actually. But it didn't affect your damage. So yeah, they kept this. This is good. Everything else is dog water.
Such as lockpicking actually give you real active benefits, like for example 4 tries before your lockpick breaks. So also, Gothic isn't this game where you level up and you open up a big skill tree and just call it there. Every inch of this game makes you earn it. Like, you just can't level up simply either. It commits entirely to the hardcore RPG experience, and I really have been enjoying it for that. It does mean that, again, there's a lot of friction in the experience, and you have to know what you're getting into. But if you've played these European style RPGs in the past, which there have been many of, and many of them are brilliant, then you kind of know.
Bro, give me a second. I gotta grab some proper water. This is like too sprudely for me, too spritzy, you know? Okay, let's go.
What you're getting into here. On top of this, NPCs also have their own daily schedules that you should be mindful of. This means when it's nighttime, they're going to go to their huts and go to sleep. During the day, they might go to their job, that sort of thing. The result means that, as someone who's played a little bit over 5 hours as of this point in time, the opening 2 to 3 hours will have at least one moment where it really tests you. Like, you kind of reach that breaking point of you stay or you go.
Wait. Did he die by the poison?
RPGs in the past, which there have been many of, and many of them are brilliant, then you kind of know what you're getting into here. On top of this, NPCs also have their own daily schedules that you should be mindful of. This means when it's nighttime, they're going to go to their huts and go to sleep. During the day, they might go to their job, that sort of thing. The result means that, as someone who's played a little bit over 5 hours as of this point in time, the opening 2 to 3 hours will have at least one moment where it really tests you. Like, you kind of reach that break.
I thought for a second they would sting you, you know, and there's like a toxin applied to you and he slowly decays your health bar, but Mr. Matty just, you know, engaged the bloodfly with -2 HP.
Point of you stay or you go. For me, it was when I was...
The game is hard. Bro, eat some apples and some mushrooms. Try again, it won't be that hard. No, I'm not hating on Mr. Matty here. I really do like it that he's exposing the wide world to the beautiful franchise that is Gothic.
Lockpicking, I was getting harassed by mud, and I was dying a ton. There are these moments where you'll feel like a stick in the mud until you overcome it. And when you overcome it, you do have that aha, I get it moment, and you start to feel really good about things because, again, the progression feels
cozy
great. When you start to trivialize
Germany
those blood bugs that gave you so many problems before, oh man, was I cursing at my monitor being like, yeah, you like that shit? That's right. So that is what the game really brings out of you. And for someone who's played RPGs their whole life, I really embrace that feeling. You know, it's a very particular type of RPG. It's uncompromising. I could see a world where reviewers step into it and realize, oh, this isn't for everyone, and they freak out. But I love that they've really committed to an original, hardcore role-playing game experience while respecting the original story. It looks quite good. On my PC here, it ran pretty solid, so...
Hey, he looks good. He actually looks really good. I like Grimes. I always like Grimes because he's the old dog, and he's convinced that he's sent into the colony with a purpose, and that is mining. And it's all about mining. You see him mine in part 1, you see him mine in part 2. And everybody wonders, you know, does Grimes survive, you know, Gothic 2? Did he make it out of the colony? Probably not. But I liked him.
All things were looking good here. It's just, again, for the hardcore RPG fan, simply put. See, after playing this, I am really looking forward to playing more at the game's launch and giving you guys a full review. on the Gothic remake. But again, shout out to THQ Nordic for providing some hands-on early time with the game to get you all caught up on things. Also, thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Certainly helps in supporting the channel. But ladies and
Thank you, Cozy Grave. Dziękuję.
gentlemen, I'd love to hear from you because this is kind of the start of my Gothic journey. I want to kind of gather information as we step in that review process. What should your boy know more about with Gothic heading into a first complete playthrough of Gothic 1? I'm looking forward to reading what you have to say down below. So please do fire away. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves. If you want to learn more about Gothic, it'll be linked in the description down below. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.
Peace out, Mr. Matty. Oh yeah. This is also, I wanna give you a little tiny underdog advice. If you're into Warcraft, especially World of Warcraft Classic, Jedi Warlock is an excellent, and I mean excellent, content creator who really dives into the nitty-gritty, and it's just a bliss listening to him and his well thought out theories about the game. Okay, that was Mr. Matty. By the way, I mean, those guys, they're huge already, and you probably know them, but if you don't, please take a look at their channels. They're doing excellent work. Mr. Matty is mostly known, I want to say, for Bethesda stuff. That means Elder Scrolls and Starfield and a little game called Fallout. He's really into that. And Mortismal Gaming, well, he's just an excellent guy. Thank you for giving us a cover. So up until now, I think we have a pretty solid opinion of those guys. Obviously, it's more directed at a audience that is not too familiar with Gothic. I can understand that. Now we're having a little bit of footage by GameStar, and I'm a little underwhelmed that we don't have English subtitles. Oh, we do have. Wanna get Burmese subtitles or Chinese? Oh yeah. Okay. Oh no. English. There we are. Okay. So, GameStar magazine from Germany. So they had their hands on Gothic as well, and I want to watch that next. But first I'm going to read a little bit in the chat. Okay, Molerat digging underground animation is super cool. Darth Smith, I agree. Can't say I like the dust particles on the swings. Dark Hollow, yeah, maybe you're right. But, you know, I think there is a lot of visual noise nowadays. And in games and Gothic, the remake is also a little bit too much sometimes. But that's debatable. Around 50 euros, yeah, it is. You can actually... Wait a second. Yeah, you can already download it. Bro, I pre-ordered because reasons. Let me check this real quick. Was the shop. Remake. $49.99. That's a regular price. I want to say it's good. It's all right. Okay. So, yeah, what else? Item checks. Did OG increase damage? It did. Yeah. I'm curious, what do you say about AI in the game? He hasn't seen the Hand of Blood stream, so he wouldn't know the AI problems showed there, I assume. I heard about these problems, but I haven't really seen them. So, yeah. Wouldn't it make sense that animal parts rot, then they are left unattended? Yeah, so you cannot use them once, you know, the carcass begins rotting. Sure, yes, that would make perfectly sense if you wanna create a very realistic game. But in a sense of gameplay, it would be cool to go back and skin them. But yeah. The Germans that I watched were also reasonably positive. There's a subgroup of Polish YouTubers that hates almost every game that gets released, and they're hating Gothic very much, but except them people are slightly positive. Do not be ashamed, Brother Vertigo. Pre-orders are okay if kept for the game. That's truly matter for you. I was learning German back in 2020. Haven't touched it since then. Hit me with it. I still got a textbook with me. Maybe I'll pick it up again. Don't do it. As far as I understand it, German is very complicated. You know, when you got like the articles, like in English, you've got the book, the girl, the yogurt, you know. We got Daddy Das, and sometimes it's a real gamble to find out why do we address this thing as a masculine thing, and the other one as a female thing, and the other one as a neutral thing. You know, it's crazy. But what do I know? It's my mother tongue. I cannot really judge about it. But yeah, let's go back about this pre-orders. Like, I'm completely with people. I'm completely with people when they say, dude, gaming industry has gone to shit, and I won't throw my hard-earned money into the mouth of the dragon anymore and feed it, you know. But again, I am a certified Gothic YouTuber. No, this is my thing that I do, and I want to play it. I want to play it here on the channel, which I actually will do. So yeah, I don't know if it will happen on release day, but probably. I will dive into the world of Gothic. Catch me live streaming, but I will announce that in due time. Yeah. Okay. That's actually it. Why did I start the music? So we are going for... Oh yeah, sure. I mean, sure. We are more familiar with the meta. We know this game for 2 decades, almost 3 decades, and it's a big part of our life. It influences very well. Generally, I don't care if people from the outside come in, but when they try to change the essence of what the game was, like it happened so many times with our favorite IPs, I get a little bit defensive about it, and I talk a lot about gatekeeping, you know, which is true. You should gatekeep to keep your house clean, which doesn't mean that nobody is allowed to touch the game. Bro, no, touch the game. If it's for you, it's for you, you know. What I don't like is that was around the time when there was a hefty debate about the women in the Gothic remake. I made a video about that, like every other YouTuber, basically. Where there was a crowd, you know, which cried wolf, which cried woke, and there were people, again, the diehards, who said, "Oh, we want them in skimpy outfits and stuff like that." That's a discussion for us to have. But then I saw people on Twitter or X talking about this, and I have never heard about these people in the context of Gothic. You know, they're just riding a fucking train. The fucking grifters have come, and they know nothing about it. They say, "Oh, look, women made ugly," but they haven't played the original game and know nothing about it. It's actually embarrassing, you know. We can have a general discussion about how things change and if that is good or bad. I think it's good in some parts, but very, very negative in many other parts. But this is not here nor there. Why do these people have the need to talk about Gothic? Well, that's the grifting culture. Gatekeeping is simply, when in my house you are respectful and respect the rules of the house, especially in the house of Gothic. Yeah, it's complicated. It's complicated. We are only so so hateful in other people's eyes because we love this thing very much. You get very defensive about it because you care about it. If I wouldn't care about it, I wouldn't be so defensive about it. If I wouldn't care about it, I would not even engage in the situation. I wouldn't have made this YouTube channel and talk about Gothic, you know. But I love it. I like it. I like it to succeed. And I like it to preserve its original essence, whatever that is. The original atmosphere, the gameplay, the feeling of the game. You know, that is very important to me. And when I see changes that kind of erode this feeling, this atmosphere, I will speak up, you know. But I can only dismiss those people who have never played the game and who now start talking about it because somebody told them that it's gone woke. Like, have you heard Gothic has gone woke? Bro, okay, what is Gothic? Have you played Gothic? You know, engage in the whole discussion, but not without any kind of thought put into there, with no experience in this type of game. I mean, but it's the culture war, and I also kind of get their point. It's crazy, yeah. It's weird times that we live in. So now, before we meander any longer, let us please watch the GameStar.
25 Jahre nach dem Original geht's endlich zurück in die Strafkolonie unter der magischen Barriere. Und was soll ich sagen? Diese Neuauflage hat mich selbst in der Vorschauversion mit ihrer Atmosphäre aber
What the fuck? Auto-translate? English, please.
auch ihrem Gameplay schneller in den Bann gezogen, als ich Lurker sagen kann. Ehrlich, das hier kann wirklich ein absolut würdiges Remake werden, wenn Entwickler Alchemia Interactive bis zum Release am 5. Juni noch ein paar Kinderkrankheiten in den Griff bekommt. Wieso ich selbst nach 10 Stunden eigentlich gar nicht mehr aufhören wollte, was das Gothic Remake jetzt schon super macht, wo es noch stolpert und was ihr sonst noch über die Neuauflage wissen solltet, das...
I'm so sorry, I cannot... Auto-translate to English. This is very, very dubious. Why doesn't it do it?
Das seht ihr jetzt. Von oben rechts in der Ecke, das hier ist noch keine finale Version vom Gothic Remake. Ich konnte das erste Kapitel spielen und zwar bis zu dem Moment, an dem ich ins alte Lager
Okay, so we're listening to this and
denn in der Preview konnte ich noch nicht überall hingehen und dadurch auch nicht jede Quest beenden. Ich zeige euch das mal auf der Karte.
We are going to watch a little bit of this. Because I mean they got some nice points here.
Den Rest haben die
But it's so sad that I cannot change the language for you guys. It's actually very, very sad. Do I need to reload?
Und ich will genau wie vor 25 Jahren einfach alles erkunden. Zum Thema Erkundung komme ich auch später noch genauer. Ich muss aber erstmal ein großes Atmosphäre plus nochmal genauer besprechen. Ich habe ja schon gesagt, dass die NPCs durch die Welt laufen und das tun sie auch nicht planlos. Alle besitzen einen individuellen Tagesablauf. Soweit so bekannt. Das macht die Welt aber so viel belebter. Buddler gehen alleine zur Mine.
It doesn't do anything, I'm very sorry.
Bringen danach das abgebaute Erz zurück ins Lager. Und ganz kurz, wie cool ist es bitte schön, dass ich jetzt ohne Ladepause in die Mine gehen kann? Was ja auch Manche Figuren sind dann zwischendurch mal nicht bei ihrer Hütte und ich kann die dann einfach ausrauben. Wieder anderen kann ich einfach folgen und erlebe dann einzigartig.
Okay, I think we skipped a little bit.
Den Rest haben die Macher hinter einer zweiten, dieses Mal unsichtbaren Barriere.
Yeah, so this is the new demo where we can run around.
Was ich euch aber sagen
It looks amazing.
Das Gothic Remake macht in Sachen Atmosphäre.
Yeah, and this is the hut again on the way to the swamp camp. I really like it. You immediately know where you are. Very, very interesting. Once again, in the far distance, Can I push this a little? I want to push this a little. Thank you. In the distant mountains, we can see the snow, the snowy peaks. It looks very, very awesome. I am trying to figure out where that might be. Exchange Place might be directly straight to the north. So this is, ooh, this could be up the mountain somewhere near the old mine, in close to the western parts, which is very interesting.
Cool. Quests schon in dieser Vorschauversion verdammt viel, verdammt richtig. Ich meine, alleine wenn ich
Dreidimensional. Hey Vertigo. Three-dimensional. Hey Vertigo. Happy to see you again. What do you think about the console-friendly controller? Don't you think it ruins the tactical part of the original? I personally hated that in Elex 1. Bro, I don't play with a controller. Like if you mean the controls, bro, this is what happens nowadays. You got a market for all those different platforms, and I think to the detriment of the developers themselves, who really don't want to do that, but it's in their contract to release them, and it's also maximizing profits, you know. So you gotta deal with it. I mean, you could translate, and I think they did it with Gothic Classic. Like, it's available on other platforms as well, I think. By now, you could translate the original one on a controller, sure. But how it plays on a controller, I cannot say. And I won't be able to say it. The controls in general, I think, if they worked on them, again, I played the Nyrus demo on stream, and I think it was kind of clunky. If they worked on the animations, which they did, they also released a whole video about what they changed. It's up on Steam, I want to say, and on the Discord, and it's been a long time since then, so they refined a few things here and there. I'm pretty much okay, but I haven't played the up-to-date version, so I don't know.
am alten Lager entlang spaziere.
So this also looks very, very awesome. As you can see, they gave us a lot of details when it comes to the defensive ditch around the old camp. There are a lot of spikes and stuff like that. But as we all know, it won't survive probably Gothic 2. It's not enough, you know. But it looks awesome how the palisade is kind of reinforced. And in the original, it always seemed that, you know, like the barricade, the outer wall is almost like collapsing inwards. But this makes a lot of sense, that you've got these poles, these big beams of wood, you know, holding the barricade in place, which is really awesome. I like this.
Der Soundtrack hat wirklich einen riesigen Anteil an der tollen Atmosphäre. Das sind wirklich verdammt passende Stücke und Alchemia hat die insgesamt doch sehr wenigen Tracks des Originals auch nochmal ordentlich erweitert. Das Thema im alten Lager spielt jetzt in verschiedenen Variationen.
Old information.
Für einige Bereiche wie den Vorhof der alten Mine gibt es sogar gleich völlig neue Stücke.
Oh yeah, but it's also, oh, that's cool. It's also the theme of the old mine. It's the same notes, I think.
Ganz wie in den Klassen.
It's like the leitmotif that is played during the old mine. The old mine track is very, very atmospheric, very percussive. And the few notes that you can hear, well, they used, or Kai used them here again.
Zwischen 3D-Cell, das charakterisiert die Musik, die einzelnen Orte und allein das sorgt für ein dickes Atmosphäre-Plus. Aber nicht nur der Soundtrack zieht mich ins Spiel rein, sondern auch die...
Oh, there it is, man. Bro, I talked about, you know, the golden hue, which looked like the golden hour, like in the noon, you know, when the sun is slowly setting. I was talking about that I really miss that type of lighting in the game, and here it is, bro. Ah, that looks awesome. I really dig that. It's in the later evening hours, I guess. Looks crazy good.
Open World an sich. Die Strafkolonie bleibt einfach ein clever aufgebauter Ort. Ich laufe einen fast linearen Weg runter und sehe direkt das alte Lager mit seinem Turm im Zentrum der offenen Welt. Von hier aus finde ich dann in jeder Richtung interessante Orte. Das ist einfach gutes Design. Ja, das verdankt das Remake natürlich seiner Vorlage, aber das neue Gothic setzt...
Oh, look at that, it's a birch tree. That's cool. Eine Birke. Wunderschön.
Überall auch nochmal eine Schippe drauf und macht die Welt dadurch schicker und vor allem lebendiger. Ein paar Beispiele. Überall kreucht und fleucht es. Hier laufen zum Beispiel Spinnen über die Wände, hier fliegen Gräser durch die Luft, Menschen laufen durch die Kolonie und natürlich sehe ich schon überall Tiere in der Welt herumspazieren. Gerade als Fan des Originals macht es auch einfach wirklich Spaß, bekannte Orte in schickerer Optik zu sehen. Die kleine Bruchbude hinterm alten Lager ist jetzt deutlich größer und ohne Fleischwanzenverwandlung auch unzugänglich. Die kleine Brücke zu Beginn hat ebenfalls an Umfang zugelegt. Bei den ersten ausgewachsenen Scavengern ist jetzt nicht nur einfach ein leeres Feld, sondern da steht auch eine kleine Hütte und das alte Lager ist mit seinen mehrstöckigen Hütten deutlich imposanter.
Okay. Ah, okay. Oh man, that's so cool. So they got multiple levels stacked on top of each other. That is so cool. We saw that happening in the new camp actually. Really, really cool. I love it so much that they now implemented that and gave the same treatment to the old camp. I'm sorry, I'm listening to this because I haven't heard it. I probably should translate from time to time a little more. I'm very sorry.
Alles ist wie früher, aber doch ein bisschen anders, größer und detaillierter.
Everything's like back in the day, but also
vor allem am Vergleich der Karten sehr gut. Und keine Sorge, die Kolonie ist zwar ein bisschen größer, dafür kann meine Figur jetzt auch standardmäßig sprinten. Dadurch ziehen sich die Laufwege
we can
auch
sprint,
nicht zu sehr
that's
in die
cool.
Länge. Kurz gesagt, diese Welt lebt und atmet und ich will genau wie vor 25 Jahren einfach alles erkunden. Zum Thema Erkundung komme ich auch später noch genauer. Ich muss aber erstmal ein großes Atmosphäre plus nochmal genauer besprechen. Ich habe ja schon gesagt, dass die NPCs durch die Welt laufen und das tun sie auch nicht planlos. Alle besitzen einen individuellen Tagesablauf. Soweit so bekannt.
Okay, we know that. NPCs have their own daily routine, but yeah, they had back in the day. What's fascinating is that some of the NPCs, they're walking like around the colony. Like, why would you do that? Everybody knows it's a really bad place. It's really dangerous, and why would a lowly digger do that?
Alleine zur Mine, arbeiten dann da und bringen danach.
Oh, they go for the mine. That's a little, you know, it's a little dangerous.
Das abgebaut.
I would have imagined something like that would be cool actually if there is you know, like the night shift coming in. They work in shifts. I think it's mentioned that you work like a week or something like that in the old mine, and then you go back. And it would have been so cool if there is like an escort happening, like 2 guards, and then there's 5 diggers on the way to the old mine getting escorted, you know. Everybody running in there by his own, like on his daily commute, you know, like you wake up in the morning and then you go to work. Like, yeah, you don't work in the Valley of Mines where there's shadow beasts and snappers and all that other funky stuff running around trying to kill you. Like, it's cool, but it's cool.
Und ganz kurz, wie cool ist es bitte schön, dass ich jetzt ohne Ladepause in die Mine gehen kann?
Yeah, so no loading screens. Awesome. Jesus Christ.
Was ja auch den Tagesabläufen der Buddler hilft. Manche Figuren sind dann zwischendurch mal nicht bei ihrer Hütte und ich kann die dann viel einfacher ausrauben. Wieder anderen kann ich einfach folgen und erlebe dann einzigartige Gespräche.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is cool. So if you follow people around, like Diego in this example, you can get some unique types of dialogue, actually, some additional info. Which, awesome, brother. This is what I wanted.
Diego erzählt mir zum Beispiel ein paar interessante Infos, wenn ich ihm anfangs einfach ins Lager folge.
Was hat er gemacht?
Oh, they're talking about the hanged man.
Sich die falschen Feinde gemacht, schätze ich.
Das System hatte in der Preview nur ein Problem.
He picked the wrong enemy, so he got hanged.
Damit den NPCs unterwegs nicht einfach etwas passiert, greifen die Monster sie nicht an. Mich aber schon.
Okay, this is a little bit funky. When regular NPCs walk the colony, as seen here, we can see the digger leaving for the old mine. They won't attack the NPCs. I don't know how I stand on this, because what I found annoying and also incredibly immersive when playing the original Gothics was always if there is a wolf getting too close to the gates for whatever reason in Gothic 2, for example, or also Gothic 1, the guards will draw their weapon and charge the creature to kill it, because after all, they're guards. Then you have lowly diggers when they face when the NPCs, weak NPCs, face an enemy that is way above their league, you know, way too strong for them, they will run away in fear, which was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Some of the best laughs I had were actually when I was playing Gothic. It's so unintentionally comical. It's so great, and I think this is taking away from the immersion. So I'd rather have, you know, a little convoy leaving for the old mine, and if there's any creature there on their way, or you know, passing through, the guards should kill it, you know. Less experience for you, the player, which is always a very, very, very sad thing to witness, you know, seeing how 50 experience points are going to waste. But it is what it is. I don't really like this.
An. Mich aber schon. Deswegen konnte ich Diego nie komplett folgen. Ich hatte ja keine Waffe für den Scavenger auf dem Weg und der hatte nur Augen für mich. Besonders blöd, beim Neuladen spawnt die Preview-Version NPCs und Monster wieder an ihre Standardorte.
Yeah,
das
okay.
heißt, Diego war schon im Lager an seiner Hütte und ich konnte den Spaziergang nur mit einem kompletten neuen Spielstand nochmal erleben.
Yeah, he's talking about how weird it is that when you had to restart, that you're at the beginning and Diego is back at his hut, you know, and you've got to do the whole run again. But yeah, that's not.
Merkt euch dieses unabsichtliche Feature, das wird später nochmal wichtig. So, jetzt aber nochmal zurück zu den NPCs. Anhand der Figurenanimation wird auch nochmal ganz klar deutlich, Gothic Remake wird ein schickes Spiel, aber spielt technisch definitiv nicht ganz oben mit. Das geht für mich.
I mean, okay. Nice graphics, but it's not top notch. That's what we were talking about earlier. Like, yeah, it's a AA game. It has certainly there is a charm to the graphics right now, but it's not like the highest definition, and I'm completely okay with that. If you want to play Gothic, you don't play it for the graphics. You know, it's like you play it for different reasons, but I like it.
Ich persönlich auch voll in Ordnung, denn dafür lief diese Vorschauversion ziemlich stabil.
Okay, performance-wise, he says it runs pretty smooth, but that remains to be seen, you know? I mean, he's from GameStar, so they've got a variety of computers to play on. Probably also more low-end PCs, just test things. But we will see when it finally arrives.
Absturz oder großen Glitch, was nicht heißt, dass schon alles rund lief. Hier schwebt mal ein Grasbüschel in der Luft nach dem Quicksave.
Marius, exactly. We're fucking boomers right now, you know, and when this game comes out, we're transformed again into being a kid. I love it.
Das Spiel kontinuierlich ohne mein Zutun weiter ab und im alten Lager gab es hin und wieder Soundbugs, weswegen der Soundtrack doppelt und versetzt ablief.
Soundbugs? Kai, what is going on? Please fix this. It's unbearable. Yeah, it's a little annoying, I guess, but fixable. Day One Patch.
Generell, die Soundabmischung war in dieser Version noch durchwachsen. Der namenlose Held, erneut gesprochen von Christian Wewerker, wirkt etwa im Vergleich zu den anderen Stimmen noch ein bisschen schlechter abgemischt.
Ich bin Diego. Mich interessiert nicht, wer du bist. Du bist neu hier.
Okay.
Ich kümmere mich um die Neuen.
So they're talking about the voice acting, and that the main character, who's voiced by the original voice actor of back in the day, is kind of mixed a little weirdly into the main mix. I don't know if it's too loud. I don't think so. But what I kind of felt when we heard like the German version, I think he changed a little bit how he talked. He was a little I don't want to say he lost his mojo. This is not what I'm saying, but he definitely talked a little less energetic back in the day. It was more like, you know, they sat the actor down in front of a microphone. They're like, yeah, just read your part and act a little, you know. And now it's way more grand, more pompous, you know, with a more dramatical approach. I don't know about the other voice acting, but it is what it is.
Lassen wir es vorerst dabei.
Okay, was muss ich über diesen Ort wissen?
Und lasst euch hier nicht von der fehlenden Lippensynchronität stören. Die ist tatsächlich in dieser Version auch nur auf die englischen Sprecher
Yeah,
optimiert.
missing lip sync
Sprecher,
also.
Die vielen neuen Stimmen machen einen wirklich guten Job. Ich persönlich ziehe immer noch das Original vor, weil die Synchronisation einfach ein wenig rauer und dadurch dreckiger wirkt. Welche ihr lieber mögt, ist am Ende aber wirklich Geschmackssache.
Diese Schweine. Ich hasse sie. Ich kann dir gar nicht sagen, wie ich sie hasse. Jetzt rennt jeder durch meine Hütte. Jeder!
Schweine. Ich hasse sie. Ich kann dir gar nicht sagen, wie ich sie hasse. Jeder rennt durch meine Hütte, als gehört sie ihm. Jeder!
Was wiederum vermutlich jedem Gothic-Fan schmecken wird, sind die Quests. Manche davon sind altbekannt, manche neu. Ich soll beispielsweise wie gewohnt eine Liste für Diego aus der alten Mine holen.
Old quests
Vegas
and new
im alten Lager
quests.
will mich dieses Mal aber nur unterstützen, wenn ich etwas für ihn klaue. 2001 hat es ihm einfach gereicht.
You know what? The new model of fingers reminds me a little of Kai Rosenkranz. A little. Am I wrong? Am I losing my marbles? Just a little, you know. I don't know. Yeah, it's more theatrical right now. Exactly.
Wenn ich einen bestimmten Skill konnte. Was mir dabei besonders positiv aufgefallen ist, genau wie im Original verschwendet das Remake in diesen ersten Stunden nicht meine Zeit. Jede Aufgabe hat ihren Sinn und hält mir immer erreichbare Ziele vor Augen. Alle Missionen helfen entweder meinem großen Ziel weiter oder versorgen mich mit überlebenswichtigen Items.
Yeah, so there is actually, what he says, there's actually no quest that kind of wastes your time. You're always doing something useful, either be it on the micro level or the macro level, you know, to get into the end game being the ultimate goal. And there's not, you know, like there's no radiant quests like in Bethesda games that just waste your time, baby, and you do them 50 times over for nothing. Oh, I hate that so much. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what I love Gothic for. It's you do a quest and it gives you something, you know. It's like immediately you got something out of it. Is it a fucking item that you can use, or is it the XP that is very valuable? Not unlike other games where experience is kind of, you know, oh, okay, you level up, but experience is so important in Gothic because it literally opens doors to new areas. You know, if there's one area with monsters you cannot fight because your attack is too weak, well, you level up, you get some strength, you get a better weapon, there you go. A new area has just opened up. Don't get me wrong, you can go anywhere at any time, almost, but you know what I'm saying.
Ich helfe zum Beispiel nach wie vor den Schatten, damit die mir bei der
Hello, Laurentio. So, how do you like the idea of rune magic at the start? I like it. I like it. I love it. I think it's very awesome because over the years, many people have complained that, and I was saying this like an hour ago, hey, we want to play as a mage from the very beginning. Well, joke's on you, both in Gothic 1 and Gothic 2. You have to actually wait to get into magics. You know, you have to use melee weapons. And I'm like, okay, you still have to do that, but the amount of time that you are swinging away with melee weapons is now reduced, and I like this very much. You know what a good system introduced magic very early on, or which game? Actually, Archolos, Chronicles of Mutana. This is how you do it. It's like, yeah, you run around for a little bit, but then you have the chance to learn the first circle of magics with Riordian, I think it was. That was cool. So early game, you can use magics. No problem. Go for it.
Aufnahme ins alte Lager helfen. Ich muss aber nicht wirklich jedem unter die Arme greifen und kann es mir auch mit manchen verscherzen. Koch Snell versorgt mich hingegen dauerhaft mit Gratisessen, wenn ich ihm ein paar Zutaten bringe. Und neu, er kocht sogar verschiedene Rezepte, die ich dann übrigens
Okay, Snuff is cooking multiple recipes, not just meat bug ragu.
auch erlernen kann. In den ersten Stunden entwickelt das Gothic...
And you don't need to do every quest in the old camp to be part of the shadows. The initiation will require less than you know, all the quests that are available. It might be a set number, I think, just like in the original, where you need like the acceptance of 5 notable shadows, plus you do the test of faith, and that's it. So, nothing really new here, except the info about Snuff.
Remake dadurch einen sehr angenehmen Spielfluss. Ich habe immer etwas zu tun, meist auch mehrere Sachen parallel und alles wirkt logisch innerhalb der Spielwelt. Und natürlich übernimmt das Gothic Remake auch eine wichtige Sache. Der Held schreibt sich in sein Tagebuch die wichtigsten Infos auf, sogar mit dem markanten Buchkritzelgeräusch.
Ah, okay, the scribbling sound is back, and once again we will have a diary. But we know about that. What is more interesting is that we've got a glossary. Do we have a bestiary? I don't know about that. Probably, maybe. But there will be more information once you open up your menu, your inventory.
Wie ich die Mission dann löse, das liegt bei mir. Ich muss einen verschwundenen Gardisten finden, dann muss ich erstmal selbst rumfragen, wo er denn sein könnte. Sogar meine schmucke Karte.
No hand-holding, you gotta ask through the whole camp when you get a quest, you know, regarding next disappearance in the old camp.
Dann muss ich erstmal in der Welt kaufen. Und da sind dann auch nicht einfach Questziele drauf markiert. Nein, ich muss mich mit den Beschreibungen der Leute auseinandersetzen und denen dann folgen.
No hand-holding again.
Gibt es auch sinnvolle Neuerungen. Wenn ich
No
Karten
quest
mit
markers.
Markierung erhalte, kann ich die zum Beispiel einfach bei meiner Hauptkarte zuschalten. 2001 musste ich noch mehrere Items ungalant hin und her wechseln. Mein Questbuch zeigt hingegen auf Wunsch auch direkt an, was meine genauen Ziele sind, verrät mir aber nicht direkt eine Lösung. Nur wieso alle NPCs so wütend sind, das verstehe ich ehrlich gesagt auch noch nicht so richtig.
What? Okay, there's like a, we gotta go back there. I need some time to understand this. So this is your people in the old camp. This is the glossary. And there's a little icon that you can see, and it says basically, okay, this person is a teacher, and the other one, I think it's some type of status, how you relate to those people. And in this demo, it showed that everybody was angry with you, probably for some reason. I don't know. I also like the scribbles. I liked it very much. It's a gold mine for every Gothic enjoyer to, you know, get the information about certain NPCs and make an hour-long video about the interesting people in the old camp. Probably someday. That's so awesome.
Atmosphäre und Quests gefallen mir.
I'm thinking the same about lockpicking. It kind of looks complicated, but I haven't tried it. I don't know. Oh shit.
In den ersten Stunden also schon mal richtig gut. Aber nicht nur verschwendet das Gothic Remake nicht meine Zeit, es belohnt mich auch noch an jeder Ecke. Egal ob bei den Missionen oder eben bei der Erkundung der Welt.
Okay.
Und auch hier entwickelt das Spiel Mechaniken bislang
It's not wasting your time, it's rewarding you. Either you're doing quests or you explore.
zumindest sehr angenehm weiter. Aber von vorn. Wie gehabt hagelt es für absolvierte Missionen Erfahrungspunkte. In der Open World finde ich hingegen Pflanzen, Waffen und Gegner. Mit genügend XP steige ich rollenspieltypisch eine Stufe auf und erhalte Lernpunkte. Mit denen trainiere ich dann wiederum bei verschiedenen Lehrern
The
Fertigkeiten
basics,
oder
you get
schalte gleich neue
experience,
frei.
you level
Und
up,
das sollte ich genau
and
wie
you can
original
spend your
auch
learning
tunlichst
points on
machen, denn es
skills.
wirkt sich spürbar aufs Gameplay aus. Mein namenloser Held kann zwar zu Beginn eine ganze Menge, etwa schon schleichen, aber jede neue Fertigkeit erleichtert mir das Leben ungemein. Das merke ich zum
Okay, as I said earlier, you can basically do most of the things on your own. You don't need to learn them, but you're very bad at it. Then you go to the trainers and you upgrade your skill, and then you have more success doing that. For example, sneaking around and robbing people, right?
sehr stark beim Schlösserknacken. Beim neuen Minispiel muss ich alle Ebenen in die richtige Reihenfolge bringen. Die sind allerdings auch untereinander verbunden. Ich muss also herausfinden, wie die zusammenhängen und dann richtig ausrichten, ohne dass dabei mein Dietrich abbricht. Was am Anfang nach nur 2 Fehlversuchen schon der Fall ist. Wenn ich jetzt meinen Schlösserknacken-Skill verbessere, dann halten nicht nur meine Dietriche länger, es hängen auch weniger Ebenen zusammen. Und das ist wirklich ein guter Kompromiss. Ich kann auch ohne Fertigkeit Truhen knacken, aber es wird mit ihr deutlich stressfreier. Und ganz ehrlich, dieses Minispiel ist ohne Fertigkeit teilweise wirklich brutal schwer.
Oh, is it? So it's really brutal at the beginning if you don't have any skill points. So I think gone are the days of wasting 15 lockpicks on one chest just to relog, and you've written all the combinations down like a madman. It's like left, 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 right, right, right. We all did that, be honest.
Lustigerweise kann ich zwar von Beginn an schleichen, dafür muss ich mir Schmieden erstmal freischalten. Und wer hier beim guten Huno richtig aufgepasst hat, der hat gesehen, das kostet auch alles ganz schön ordentlich. Grundsätzlich hat Alchimia das ganze Wirtschaftssystem ordentlich aufgemöbelt und das spüre ich auch ziemlich schnell. Auf dem normalen Schwierigkeitsgrad, denn ja, ich kann mir das Leben auch deutlich einfacher am Anfang machen, erhalte ich weniger Erzbrocken und wertvolle Items als noch im Original. Die Dienste der Lehrer sind teuer und die Preise von Gegenständen.
So the harder the difficulty, the harder to get some resources like for example what merchants sell, but also what you can find. Did I understand that correct? It's crazy.
Schwanken von Händler zu Händler, weil die untereinander auch tauschen. Also das.
So the merchants, they're also trading with each other. We got a glimpse of that early on in the other video by MrMattyPlays, which was a cool insight, I want to say, that you've got a micro economy in your different camps and regions, which is awesome. It's a little more. It's putting another layer of complexity onto the game, which I don't really disagree with. It's something that I've never really thought about, but I like it.
Tauschen habe ich bislang noch nicht gesehen, aber ich merke, dass die Preise doch schon schwanken. Das alles bedeutet im Umkehrschluss, auf Diebestour gehen und Items in der Welt suchen, lohnt sich deutlich mehr als 2001. Und Stichwort Diebestour.
Apparently, robbing people, lockpicking, is really paying off in the remake.
Wie gewohnt sollte ich mich beim Klauen nicht erwischen lassen, sonst gibt's volles Pfund aufs Maul. Laut diesem Text hier muss ich auch mit gestohlener Ware vorsichtig sein. Wenn jemand sein Zeug wiedererkennt, dann gibt's ebenfalls Ärger. Ehrlich gesagt.
What? Okay, I don't know if I like this. Okay. So, if you rob somebody and you take his sword, I'm sorry. And you take his sword and then you're gonna you go into somebody's house and you take their sword and you run around with that sword, that person will actually recognize that sword. Like, okay, I get the idea. It's kind of cool. I somehow dislike this system in Morrowind where you were when you would rob a store or people or whatever, and then you go to a trader or a merchant or whatever, and they wouldn't buy these items off of you because they were basically born out of thievery, if that makes sense. So you need special merchants, I think.
Sein, wenn jemand sein.
But yeah, there's this witness system that was very rudimentary back in the day. It was very, very simple, and they really doubled down on that.
Zeug wiedererkennt, dann gibt's ebenfalls Ärger. Ehrlich gesagt ist mir das aber wirklich nur ein einziges Mal passiert. Solange ich die Sachen schnell verkauft habe, gab es eigentlich keine Probleme.
Okay, if you've got stuff on you that's not yours, you gotta sell it real quick. Or you will eventually run into problems. Like Grim here. That's the fighting music. Where's the da 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 da?
Wo ich hingegen doch immer wieder Probleme hatte, waren die Items in der Open World. Die neu interpretierte Strafkolonie sieht wirklich toll aus. Ich mag zum Beispiel auch, dass der Wald mit seinen unebenen Pfaden und dem Matsch und den umgefallenen Bäumen wie ein richtiger Wald ausschaut. Aber meine Güte, kann ich hier kaum Items erkennen. Vor allem zu Beginn kann ich Nutz von Dekopflanzen einfach fast gar nicht unterscheiden. Sie passen ironischerweise zu gut in die Umgebung hinein. Fairerweise.
Okay, so items like, for example, berries and other foliage that is useful to you is hardly recognizable when traversing the landscape. So they really blend in with the woodlands and the surrounding area. So you really have to look for them. And that is what whoever made this video, whoever this journalist is, he didn't really like it. I mean, if you stroll around the colony or Corinus for that matter in Gothic 1 and Gothic 2, you saw those things from a mile away. I'm exaggerating, of course, but they were sticking out like a sore thumb, right? You saw there is this huge healing herb that you could pick up. You know, you can see it a mile away. But this time around, it's really hard, apparently, to see that. Maybe we get some... You know, this is where I like accessibility for some people with bad eyes. Where there is an option that if you're close to something to pick up, that there's maybe like a focus popping up, or there's some glittering effect or something like this. Like nothing too flashy, because then we run into modern game design problems, you know, where it's like hand holding. I don't want that, but maybe like give you a little hint. I don't know.
Habe ich nach und nach ein leichtes Gespür dafür entwickelt, wie die Pflanzen aussehen, aber auch jetzt noch übersehe ich immer mal wieder nützliche Heilpflanzen. Neben dem Design liegt es aber auch wirklich am starken Kontrast. Die Lichtstimmung soll durch die strahlende Sonne und den dunklen Schatten möglichst realistisch aussehen, aber in der Praxis macht sie mir ebenfalls die Itemsuche ein bisschen schwerer. Während das im Wald jetzt noch nicht allzu schlimm war, hat es mich persönlich...
Okay, somebody in the chat asked if I know about the AI, and I just saw this situation where the hero is running up to a mole rat, and the mole rat is just standing there waiting to be attacked. Animals have heightened senses. They would probably... I like the system better from Gothic 1 and Gothic 2, where, you know, sometimes you're running around the underbrush and you just hear a growl, which is, you know, the sign of, hey, a creature is nearby and it's about to attack you. The question is also, you know, are they implementing like a realistic way of creatures to attack you? Like, for example, maybe mole rats are not inherently aggressive, but if you stay long enough in their vicinity, they become aggressive. Whereas a snapper, for example, would be immediately aggressive towards you. But this is just I don't know. Maybe it's just bugged, but yeah. AI is what people apparently have problems with. We're not talking about this today.
Vor allem in der Mine wirklich gestört. Nur mal so als Beispiel. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth dreht die Helligkeit nach oben, sobald ich eine Höhle betrete. In Gothic ändert sich nichts. Selbst mit Beleuchtung an...
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So apparently there are games that change the brightness once you enter a cave or something. But Gothic doesn't do that. And thank God it doesn't change, because this is what immersion looks like. You gotta need a torch in your hand to traverse these caves.
Wänden bleibt es vergleichsweise düster, was vielleicht sogar realistisch ist, aber beim Erkunden doch ganz schön stört. Nur wenn ich eine Fackel aus der eigenen Tasche zücke, kann ich genug sehen. Ansonsten bleibt nur die Helligkeit im Menü anzupassen. Nur mal so zum Vergleich. Das hier ist die Standardeinstellung. Das hier meine manuell angepasste. Und bevor jetzt jemand sagt, ja, das ist halt Absicht...
So, right, he adjusted the settings. On the left, this is like standard. I mean, you got the options, right? But I really do think that the left one is really... It's good. It's good.
Man soll die Fackel benutzen. Das Original war mit einer Ausnahme nie so dunkel. Hier habe ich durch die Fackel eher bestimmte Details an Wänden erst sehen können, nicht den normalen Weg. Das war eine deutlich elegantere Lösung. Ich hoffe, dass Alchemia...
So, in the old game, it was more like a torch was needed to not really see through the darkness, but to make out certain details. Whereas it's different now that you have to have a torch in hand to actually see where you can go and where you cannot.
Generell
can we talk about this for a second? I think this is so cool. So we had this huge roof around the market area in the old camp in the original games, but I dig this so much, you know, all the different types of fabric hanging there, giving you some sort of protection of the weather, of the sun. I really love this.
Nochmal ein wenig an die Beleuchtung
Fuck it, man.
rangeht. Die Haare beim Helden wissen hier zum Beispiel auch noch nicht so richtig, wie sie scheinen sollen.
Oh, Fun Stuff is asking, can animals still catch you when you run away? They used to be able to do that in the original Gothic one. I don't know how fast they are. I don't know. You could certainly outrun some of the creatures like mole rats, but then there's like snappers where you had to dodge in a really weird way, or they would, well, snap you. But I'm not too sure about that. That was in the original Gothic 2, for example. If you stole Silas's axe from the new camp, he attacked you on sight if you showed up with that weapon. Oh, yeah. Was it called Silas's axe? Because I can see this happening if you've got a personalized item, you know. Also like Diego's bow or Goran's axe or something like that. If you happen to have it in your inventory, and there's probably some hidden dialogue I don't know about, but the way I understood it is like every NPC that has some item stolen will actually react that way. And that was not in the game back in the day.
Und einen besseren Kompromiss aus realistischer Beleuchtung und Spielbarkeit findet. Vor allem bei Regen ist dem Feuerrealismus auch egal und im alten Lager bei tiefster Nacht geht's doch auch mit guter Beleuchtung.
Yeah, see, it's a special axe. Exactly. Yeah.
Was der Entwickler hingegen bereits ordentlich hinbekommen hat, sind die Gefechte. Jawohl, richtig gehört, mir gefallen die Kloppereien mittlerweile wirklich gut. Ja, die Hitboxen sind nach wie vor nicht immer nachvollziehbar.
Hitboxes are sometimes a little bit wobbly, but the combat system is alright, the journalist says.
Ja, manchmal reagiert meine Figur trotz passendem Timing beim Schlagen nicht richtig, aber mit einem
Even if the timing is mechanically correct, it feels a little bit sluggish, but that might be due to the combat skill.
wenig Eingewöhnung und Geduld machen die Gefechte echt Spaß und das deutlich mehr als im Original. Dafür sind vor
Apparently combat is more fun than in the original. Okay. That's a bold statement, I don't know.
allem das Ausweichen und die verschiedenen Verhaltensweisen verantwortlich. Mollerats. Ja, ich weiß,
Mollerats.
aber für mich werden sie immer Mollerats heißen. Also,
Yeah.
die Naga graben sich unter der Erde zu mir,
Yeah, that's so
Wölfe
cool.
springen mich wiederum in Rudeln an und Blutfliegen stechen sehr, sehr schnell nach mir. Ich muss bei jedem Gegner nun herausfinden, wann ich ausweiche, wie oft.
Okay, as I said, they got the animals have more attacks, more attack variety, and you have to memorize their attack patterns again. Like for example, Moret is digging underground. Then you got Bloodfly, which apparently can sting you very fast in a fast succession, and the wolves can actually jump you. So I like it. It carries over the spirit of back in the day.
Ich kontern kann und wann ich mich lieber zurückziehe. Das erreicht zwar nie die Tiefe eines Souls-Spiels, schon alleine deswegen nicht, weil ich die Kamera ohne Lock-on-Funktion ständig manuell
it's not on the
nachjustieren muss,
level of
aber
the,
zumindest
you know,
gibt es jetzt eine
Souls-likes,
richtige
but-
Lernkurve und ich kann mit spielerischem Können sogar den ein oder anderen etwas stärkeren Feind schon recht früh umnieten. Eine besonders schöne
So your mechanical skill on the keyboard still matters to a certain degree.
Neuerung,
Very important.
anders als 2001 kann ich jetzt auch mehrere Feinde gleichzeitig treffen. Es ist, wie gesagt, nach wie vor auch etwas Glück und Timing nötig. Wer wann zuhaut oder eben zupickt, ist wirklich elementar und nicht immer ganz nachvollziehbar.
You got sweeping
Aber ich habe in
strikes,
den
but we know
Nahkämpfen
about that.
deutlich mehr Kontrolle als noch im Original.
Ah, here's the goblin throwing stuff.
Und selbst wenn die Gefechte mein spielerisches Können auch belohnen, bleiben die natürlichen Grenzen der Spielwelt erhalten. Gegen einen Snapper hilft zu Beginn jeder Skill nichts. Hier komme ich wirklich nur mit besserer Ausrüstung und mit besserem Waffenumgang weiter. Und Stichwort Waffenumgang, nach wie vor hält der namenlose Held seinen Einhänder erstmal mit beiden Händen.
Bro.
Mit beiden namenlose Held sein Und Stichwort Waffenumgang,
No. Just one frame back.
weiter. Und Stichwort Waffenumgang,
Look at that boy. Oh, I talked about it in my last video, but this is not it, bro. This is not it, Chief. This is not a snapper. No, it has a beak. A snapper is very, very muscular, especially when it comes to the head region. It has not as a massive head as a biter, for example, but it's got very, very strong jaws, and it has no arms. I know it kind of looks a little bit stupid, and if you think about it, you know, how do snappers, the original snappers, how do they mate? Could be a little bit complicated without any arms, but I don't know. I think this model is very, very detached from the original one, and I would have really liked a better take, a more original, not original, but it should have been resembling the original a little bit more. I don't like this new design of the snapper.
Nach wie vor hält der namenlose Held seinen Einhänder erstmal mit beiden Händen. Nur wenn ich den Schwertkampf bei einem Lehrer
Oh yeah, health bars above the creatures, above enemies. Maybe you can toggle that. I don't know.
Bessere, halte ich meine Klinge richtig, haue schneller zu und teile dann auch mehr Schaden bei den zahlreichen Tieren aus. Von denen gibt es im Remake übrigens jetzt mehrere Arten derselben Kreatur. Ich habe zum Beispiel nicht schlecht gestaunt, als ein normaler Scavenger plötzlich größer und stärker als seine Kollegen war.
Okay, multiple creature types. There's the juvenile ones that we can find in the very early zones of the game. Juvenile scavengers, juvenile mole rats, and then you eventually encounter the grown adult version of said types, of said animals, and he was surprised by that. I don't even know if that was the thing in the original Gothic, but mods and stuff, they kind of confused me over the years, but I think in Gothic 2 you had juvenile monsters as well.
Auch als ich gesehen habe, dass der besiegte Vogel eine Stunde später immer noch da liegt und vor sich hin verwest.
Yeah,
kurz gesagt, die Kämpfe sind insgesamt bei weitem nicht perfekt und immer noch etwas clunky, mit etwas Eingewöhnung.
Okay, fights are still a little bit clunky, he says, but you get used to it.
Und Geduld, aber wirklich unterhaltsam. Ich habe aktuell wirklich nur ein einziges Problem mit ihnen. Ich kann sie grundlegend austricksen. Erinnert ihr euch noch an den Speicherbug von vor ein paar Minuten? Beim Neuladen spawnt die Preview-Version NPCs und Monster wieder an ihre Standardorte. Tja, und gerade weil das Neuladen auch die Monster zurücksetzt, kann ich mir das Leben damit sehr, sehr leicht machen.
Oh, okay, so saving means monsters are getting reset once you load again. That can save essentially your ass, because you can see right now that he's in a pickle. He's not very healthy right at the moment, so what he's about to do, he's saving right in this moment, and then he's loading again, and they respawn in their original location. Whereas in the original, if you would fight a creature and you would save, it would put you back into that exact spot where you actually saved. So in the middle of the fight with a creature. Sometimes it was bugging out, so it gave you, or not you, but your opponent full life again once you loaded in, which was, you know, a little tricky, but we will see how this goes.
Ich laufe einfach in eine Horde Blutfliegen rein, töte eine, laufe etwas weg, speichere, lade neu und tada, alle anderen Gegner sind wieder weggespawnt und
okay. They all despawned except the one he killed. This needs to be addressed, definitely. There's a lot of potential of bug using when using this method. There's actually no real threat anymore when you're out in the wilds and you try to fight something with this bug being present. So, Alchemia, please fix.
Kann nochmal von vorne loslegen. Dadurch muss ich halt nicht einmal mehr die Feinde einzeln aus ihrer Meute rauslocken, und das gehört doch zu Gothic einfach dazu.
Exactly. Don't fight the whole group. You gotta lure them out one by one.
Kommen wir langsam zum Ende. Man hat schon die ganze Zeit raushören können, diese Preview-Version hat wirklich viele meiner Sorgen zerstreut und mich gut unterhalten. Die Belohnungsspirale funktioniert genauso gut wie 2001, die aufwendigen NPC-Tagesabläufe funktionieren grundlegend, die Welt sieht trotz nicht der taufrischesten Grafik und dem starken Kontrast wirklich hübsch aus, und die neuen Ideen wirken auf den ersten Blick wirklich passend. Trotz dieses guten Eindrucks habe ich aber auch noch so viele Fragen. Wie gut und vor allem nützlich sind die neuen Skills wie Klettern? Da habe ich bislang nur eine einzige passende Wand gefunden. Wie gelungen werden die Story-Anpassungen? In den ersten Stunden wich das Remake kaum von der Vorlage ab, aber wie gut klappen dann die Ergänzungen in Kapitel Kapitel 2. Wie nachvollziehbar rutscht der Held in die Freundesgruppe von
Yeah, he's kind of questioning, you know, how the game progresses. Will the story be as tight as, you know, the original, especially with new quests and new characters? Will it hold up? Will it fit into the pre-existing story? Or will it change too much? That remains to be seen. He's also talking about the gameplay elements that they added, for example, those climbable walls, not like regular climbing, but these designated walls that can be climbed horizontally. And he only found one. I think I would be a little disappointed if there's only one or two out in the open, because if you introduce such a gameplay element, you better make use of it.
Diego, Milton, Lester und Gorn rein. Wie gut können überhaupt neue Spieler bei Gothic mit dem Remake einsteigen? Denn ich wusste schon ziemlich klar, was mich...
Yeah, that's also the question. A very, very good question, actually. So, addressing veterans, he says that, yeah, we old dogs, we know exactly where to go and what to do in this world because it's a remake, you know, but how do people fare not having played Gothic at all? And that's something that I'm very, very interested in. I will actually watch, maybe here on live stream, some YouTubers play Gothic for the very first time. I really like blind playthroughs. I love that shit.
Erwartet, aber verzeihen Neueinsteiger den ruppigen Start? Bleiben etwa die vielen Tutorials von Anfang an so im Menü versteckt? Das könnte im schlimmsten Fall abschrecken, Schwierigkeitsgrade hin oder her. Wie gut klappt die
Those tutorials are kind of hidden in your inventory, or at least in the same UI. I don't know. It's way better than have little pop-ups during your game. I think it's way better to have something like this accessible at all times in your base UI. You know. I like it.
Los. Gerade die verabschiedet sich im Original ja im letzten Drittel komplett. Da ist man einfach nur noch übermächtig und kann sich alles kaufen. Wie sehr wirken sich Entscheidungen wirklich aus? Alles das muss sich noch zeigen. Und dann stecken ja auch noch wenige Wochen vor Release noch haufenweise Baustellen im Spiel. Die waren jetzt allesamt eher Ärgernisse, aber es waren in der Summe dann doch schon eine ganze Menge.
There's still many minor things that needs to be addressed, many minor bugs as well. And he's hoping that they get fixed very soon, either before or after release.
Auf Alchemia wartet also noch einiges an Arbeit, auch wenn das Fundament für ein gelungenes Remake auf jeden Fall da ist und ich selbst mit dieser Version eine Menge Spaß hatte.
And even with this version, he would have a great fucking time. Okay, so, right. We got MrMattyPlays, we got Mortismal Gaming, and now we have GameStar. GameStar is... I think they're actually okay. Let me check something real quick. No. Yeah, you see what I'm typing in there. Oh brother, what a game, what an experience. Where's my browser lagging so much? Okay, let's not dwell on this. So, most of the people that we've watched are positive about the game, and they admit that there are some problems here and there, which is okay. It's the very, very first game of Alchemia, and in my opinion, that's all right. You know, sure, they need to be addressed. All those bugs, they need to be fixed. But it's really nice to hear that the solid, that the main game, that the main experience is very solid, and that's something they all spoke about. So, yeah. Even without having played it, I'm still okay. I'm still, you know, cautiously hopeful that it will succeed. I'm cautiously hyped. I'm an old guy by now, and I've witnessed the fall of so many franchises. You haven't seen anything yet, you know. No, but it looks good so far. I love the reaction of Alchemia to the community, how they changed things relatively quickly when we addressed them. And now we're only a few weeks from the release of the game. Okay, so we haven't really touched Hand of Blood, who's got a 3-hour-long live stream about this, which is crazy to think about. I think I'm going to watch this with you guys, but not right now. So we are online for 2.5 hours, and I think that's good enough. We are going to talk about Gothic in the weeks leading up to it. Once again, we are doing this live stream thingy here where we watch Hand of Blood playing this intensely, and yeah, some other stuff as well. Again, I will live stream the game once it comes out. I am looking forward to it, and yeah, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what we just watched? I mean, two opinions from people who are kind of a little disconnected from Gothic. And again, they were kind of positive.
They've added difficulty options.
This might be the most controversial thing that they've added, the difficulty stuff. I think it was GameStar journalist who said, no, it was somebody else. Might have been Mortismal Gaming. Somebody said it. It would have been cool if there was no novice difficulty, but they start right there with the Gothic difficulty, right? This is like the lowest and also most standard difficulty that you can actually choose, and from that point on, you can only make the game harder for challenges in the community or whatever. That would have probably been the best approach. But yeah, I'm still a bit divided. I think there are arguments pro and contra for everything, and I don't have the capacity right now to give you a definitive answer to that. Okay, I will be expecting a playthrough on release. Landros, I will. What camp will you choose first? My conclusion. Okay, what camp will I choose first? I think for my very, very first time, I will go the very, very classic route, which is going to be... like, if there would be a movie about Gothic or a book or whatever, I imagine the nameless hero being drawn into the old camp and then getting betrayed. And if there would be a book or a movie about Gothic 2, I'd probably say he'd be part of Lee's band of people because he knows them from back in the day. This is like my headcanon how it works, you know. Yeah, old camp would be my first choice. This is what I chose back in the day on my first playthrough. And after that, bro, I'm a huge sucker for the set camp. There will be multiple playthroughs, definitely. Landros, my conclusion, it feels like Gothic, the core part, the most important, they nailed it. I kind of see it in the same way. After they changed the combat, I was really relieved because that was a great concern of mine. And now my biggest concern is really the art style. Believe it or not, there's some things they changed. Gomez face, Lee's face, the snapper design, the design of the sleeper temple. There are many things that I like, but those things, they really stand out for me for not being in the same... they don't convey the same visual message. They don't convey the same visual feeling. I was very... disappointed is a hard word, but I was let down by the new design of the sleeper temple very much. Because it's not dusty and ancient anymore. It literally is, you know, Mount Doom version 2.0 or something like that. But this can be addressed as nitpicking. I really hope there will be a mod kit, because then people will be able to customize the game to their delight. And I would surely be one of those people who would download the mod that goes like, yeah, making the remake more in the vein of classic when it comes to visuals, you know. Yeah. I'm so sorry that I won't be watching your streams live, as I'm rocking myself in my man cave and will be playing as much as possible. Bro, I'm not even mad. Yeah, I'm happy for you. Do that, please. The fact that you can set the difficulty, it pisses me off. Yeah, it's really controversial. I realized that the first game by a new studio in a country without a particularly established game dev scene, I expect jank, but by the looks of these previews and by the sheer volume of the community engagement, it looks anything but a lazy cash grab. I think it will have a solid foundation. Solid foundation is a good keyword here. I think so too. This is their debut, and we've never seen anything from them except a playable teaser, which was shite. But still, you know, we gotta cut them some slack, and we are a very, very difficult but also loyal community, and it's really hard to get used to changes. Again, you've got the three camps, you know. You've got the purists, the diehards, then you've got the people who are like, yeah, give me the rough idea of what Gothic is and change everything around it. And then there is people like me, I want to say, who like the best of both worlds if they make sense, you know, something in the middle. But nowadays, with the social media and stuff like that, nobody, not like you never can satisfy a whole group. You will never be able to do that. There will always be people who criticize, and always people who love it. So that's just how it goes nowadays. Yeah. Just play Gothic difficulty. That's where it's at. Yeah, I think that's the way. That's the way. Okay, party people. That's it. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. I see you in the next one, and awaken. See you again soon.